2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to another week and what is a Monday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all of great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. That's 855-212-4227. You could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter or X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We got a whole lot to do today. We are back from Vegas, rocking and rolling all the way up until 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific time. We got 4 guests for you today. Kelvin Beachum, the offensive lineman for the Arizona Cardinals, going to stop by 20 minutes from now. Clay Harbor, the former NFL tight end, is going to join us in studio at the top of the hour. Coming up at 4:40 p.m. Eastern time today, 1:40 p.m. Pacific, we'll preview the Atlanta Falcons with Ovie Mughelli. And then in the final hour of the show, Washington Commanders running back, friend of the show, Austin Ekeler, will stop by at 5:20 p.m. Eastern, 2:20 p.m. Pacific time. But we need to start with the drama Dallas choking Cowboys. And the drama Dallas choking Cowboys actually made some news today. And the waiting is over. CeeDee Lamb finally gets his new long-term contract with the organization just in time for the start of the season. So now we are not going to have to go through this entire, okay, CeeDee Lamb doesn't have a new deal. Is he going to play week 1 up against the Cleveland Browns? I've advocated and I've advised, for whatever that means, CeeDee Lamb, hey, if you didn't get a new deal by Dallas, go up against the Browns week 1, don't play, and have Tom Brady broadcast that game, and we all know what would transpire. The Cowboys offense would be an insipid offense, and that team would lose the game to the Cleveland Browns, and then every national talking show on Monday would be saying, oh, CeeDee Lamb didn't play. The Cowboys offense is dreadful without CeeDee Lamb, and now Jerry Jones has to get the long-term deal done. But even though I threw that out there, you knew the likeliest outcome was going to be that CeeDee Lamb was going to get his before week 1. Because this is the Jerry Jones playbook. The Jerry Jones playbook is let's stir up some drama. Let's make everyone think something may not happen. And then when the deadline is approaching of week 1, when push comes to shove, we will give CeeDee Lamb his. This is what the Cowboys do. Because they evaluate success not based off how many wins they could accumulate in a season anymore, but based off of how much drama they could stir up. And this is the off-season of nonsense for the Cowboys. It started with, we're going all in. And what did they do? They went all in on creating controversy and creating questions around their star players. Like the best offseason acquisition move, the most notable one, was bringing back Ezekiel Elliott, who, don't get me wrong, Zeke had a good season last year for my Patriots. But Ezekiel Elliott does not move the needle anymore and doesn't bring the Cowboys closer to getting to an NFC championship game. Forget a Super Bowl. But getting to an NFC championship game, something they haven't done since the 1995 season. So congratulations to CeeDee Lamb. But the direction of this team for the Cowboys, I don't think is going in a positive direction. And I don't think it's going in a positive way because this team failed to get better. And they are still entering this season with the coach who's a lame duck coach in the final year of his deal, a quarterback who they are not getting a deal done with Dak Prescott by week 1. The moment they walked into free agency without trimming down that cap number, and I know they trimmed it down slightly through time from $60 million a year to $55 million a year. But if they were going to really be all in this year and spend, and improve and enhance this team, they would have given Dak a long-term deal because then they could have allocated and spread out the dollars the way that they wanted to. So you have McCarthy, lame duck, Dak on the final year of his deal, and Micah Parsons. It's kind of funny because you would think if there was drama emanating from any of these players, it would really happen from Micah Parsons with his ability through his great podcast. You really haven't heard anything from Micah Parsons outside of that time. His own teammate, Malik Hooker, was basically like he's too focused on the podcast. In terms of the contract, we haven't heard a whole lot generated from the mouth of Micah Parsons. But CeeDee Lamb gets his. CeeDee Lamb gets a massive 4-year contract extension worth $136 million. Lamb gets $100 million guaranteed, and it's a record for a wide receiver, $38 million signing bonus, and that deal was done by CAA. He is, as Ian Rappaport points out, the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history. CeeDee Lamb is a phenomenal player. CeeDee Lamb is right on the cusp of becoming a top 5 wide receiver. These deals, though, that we've seen in the offseason to wide receivers, though, are showing a great shift in the game. We know this isn't your grandfather's football anymore, where it's great offensive line, ground and pound, bell cow running back, run, right? This is not 1973, folks. It's just not. This league now is predicated on quarterback play and airing the ball out. And you look at the positions that teams are going to go crazy and spend at just an exponential rate where we'll keep on going up and up and up. It's really 4 positions now in the NFL. It's the quarterback, it's wide receivers, it's offensive linemen, left and right tackle specifically, and then also edge rushers. Those are, in terms of dollars, the most important positions in the NFL. Quarterbacks will keep on getting record-breaking deals. Well, you'll say, how the heck can teams afford this? Doesn't even make sense to pay someone $60 million a year. Wide receivers, this is the new norm, where they're going to get well over north of $30 million a year. If you are a very good wide receiver, you'll make the case that you're a great wide receiver and get paid like a great one. We all know the importance of the left tackle spot in the NFL, and then also getting to the quarterback, you can make nearly $30 million a year as well. So some people may look at this deal and say, hey, it's a lot of money. Is CeeDee Lamb worth it? I don't, because I understand where the game has shifted to. And this game now is based off those four positions where it's your offensive lineman, it's your quarterback, it's your wide receiver, and it's your edge rushers. Those are the four positions that will command, not only in the now, but the foreseeable future, the most amount of money. And we've seen a lot of teams have number one wide receivers, and then we've even seen some teams pay the second wide receiver as well a good amount of money too. This is a passing league. I'm not saying there's not a place for the run game. Obviously, there's a place for a run game. You still need a good run game to go win a Super Bowl. But people now look at the running back position as devalued. You even saw it in Hard Knocks, where Joe Shea in the offseason Hard Knocks is like, oh, we could go pay Saquon $12, $13 million, or we could pay a running back significantly less and pay a few running backs significantly less, and we're going to then go rely on our quarterback and our offensive line and our wide receiver that we're drafting eventually, which was Malik Neighbors. Now, the Giants' offensive line stinks. We know that. And the quarterback stinks too, so it doesn't work that way. But that's the approach. That's the philosophy. And quite frankly, if you look at the teams that have won Super Bowls, for the most part, in the last 15 years or so, it has been running back by committee that wins Super Bowls in the last 15 years. From the Pats, from the Chiefs, to the Eagles, and so on and so on. Tampa Bay, even. You know, the last bell cow back I can remember winning a Super Bowl was probably Marshawn Lynch, or household name at the running back position, winning a Super Bowl. So this is just the direction of the league. But now when you look at the Cowboys, their wide receiver is taken care of. So I'll ask these two questions. What's going to happen with the future of Dak? And then also, what are your expectations for the drama Dallas choking Cowboys this year? So let me start with Dak. If I was advising Dak Prescott, and I don't think a deal is getting done by week one, as I've stated before, if a deal was going to get done, it was going to be before the start of free agency. Now I think it behooves Dak, who is a good quarterback, a very good quarterback, not a great quarterback, but we know the game. Good, very good quarterbacks get paid record-breaking, great money. If I'm Dak, I'm not even contemplating signing a deal with the Cowboys by week one. I am utilizing my right to test free agency. And he could do that because he has a no-tag clause in his contract and he enters the final year of his contract this season. And I've said this before and I'll say it again. The destination I'm considering the most would be the Seattle Seahawks if they want him. You got DK Metcalf, you got Tyler Lockett, you got Jackson Smith-Njigba, and you also have Kenneth Walker at the running back position. You stay in the NFC, which is better than going to the AFC, because it's an easier conference, and you improve your team in a big-time way. Because the Seahawks, I think, have more talent spread out throughout the team than what the drama Dallas choking Cowboys currently have constructed. Now, you could consider going other places as well to drive up the price. I see Stu out of the corner of my eye. He's like, point to me, point to me, point to me. How about the Raiders? If they still have Devontae Adams, Max Crosby, Christian Wilkins, you could maybe use the Raiders, or you could potentially go to the Raiders. I'll also throw out another destination. Now, I wouldn't advise Dak to do this, but it would be fun if you leave Jerry Jones at the altar and Dak Prescott's like, I'm tired of playing your drama games, Jerry, and you pull a Saquon Barkley. Where Saquon, we know, bolted the Giants to go down the turnpike to Philadelphia. How about we see Dak Prescott say goodbye to Dallas and take a plane up to New York and join the New York Football Giants? Those are three destinations that jump out to me. Now, I don't know if Dak wants to leave, but I think you have to test it. I think you have to explore it, and I think you have to consider it. Because we know Trey Lance is not going to be the long-term starting quarterback with the Cowboys, which, by the way, that was one of the most horrific but impressive preseason games I've ever seen from Trey Lance. He threw for a ton of yards, but he also threw for 5 interceptions. So the Cowboys are in a spot where I think they're getting into a dangerous game with their quarterback, and it's does the quarterback have the cojones, and does he have the guts, and does he have the desire to leave the organization? And I truly believe, and I know right in sports talk radio, you want an opinion, you want it one way or the other, no in the middle. I think this is 50-50. Dak Prescott being the Cowboys next year, I think it's 50-50 because for the first time in his career, I believe he's legitimately contemplating leaving the organization at the end of the season. So we'll see what happens with Dak. But for the team this year, they did not get better this offseason. And football is a strange game where sometimes you don't get better in terms of offseason moves and your team plays better. But the Cowboys have been good the last 3 years. I know, right, I make a lot of fun of the Cowboys, but I'll give them credit. The last 3 years, they've been a 12-win team, back-to-back-to-back years. When Mike McCarthy got that job, not many had the Cowboys going to the playoffs for 3 straight seasons. But they lost Dan Quinn this offseason. They lost Tony Pollard this offseason. They didn't make any splashy big moves. Their offensive line isn't as good as it once was. And you have a lot of guys thinking about their future. Dak thinking about his future. McCarthy thinking about his future. CeeDee Lamb taken care of. Micah Parsons thinking about his future. So I look at the Cowboys, and in the NFC East, they just don't repeat as champions. No one in the NFC East does since the early 2000s. So the Cowboys won the NFC East this year. Last year. I don't think they win the NFC East this year. So the question becomes, do I think they're a wild card team? And I'm going to put my stock in other places this year. I think this is the year the Cowboys fall back and the Cowboys go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, or 8-9 and miss the playoffs. So that's what I expect out of the Cowboys this year. But I'll ask this question, and I put it up on Twitter in a poll question at Zach Gelb, ZACHGELB. The Dallas Cowboys this year will win the NFC East, be a wild card team, be in the NFC title game, or miss the playoffs. And the super early returns, 45.2% say be a wild card team. 42.5% say miss the playoffs. 8.2% say win the NFC East. And a underwhelming 4.1% say be in the NFC title game. So that's what we have cooking with the Dallas Cowboys. What say you? 855-212-4227. 855-212-4227. We'll take a timeout. 15 minutes past the hour. This is Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We're off and running on another week and a very busy Monday edition of the show. And when we come on back, Kelvin Beachum of the Arizona Cardinals will join us. But first, the biggest pro football contests in Vegas are back. Circa Survivor and Circa Millions are now up to $16 million in guaranteed prizes. You have 2 ways to win and no rake. Circa Survivor contestants select one team each week with no point spread. If the team loses or ties, the entry is eliminated. You can only pick each team once in a season. Last the longest to win it all with $10 million guaranteed. And Circa Millions make 5 picks against the spread each week for your share of $6 million guaranteed. Quarterly and full season payouts, the entry that does the worst also wins $100,000. You must register at a Circa Sportsbook in Nevada, Las Vegas, Henderson, or Sparks, Reno. And we did the show live from Circa last week. It was unbelievable. And it was absolutely incredible. Man, that stadium swim outdoor sportsbook at the pool was a thing of beauty. Even Santa had a smile on his face. Entries are now open and close on September 7th at 2 p.m. Visit circasports.com for rules and details. Must be 21 and present in Nevada to enter, and paid for by Circa Sports.
You're in a 4-minute break. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
The back-to-school season is in full swing, but for some students, simple tools and supplies are scarce. Joining us today is NFL veteran Kelvin Beachum on the Zach Gelb Show to chat about his work with World Vision, a Christian humanitarian organization. Kelvin, appreciate the time as always. Thanks so much for doing this, and how you been, my friend?
Pretty good, man. Thanks so much for having me.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. We'll talk about all the great work that you're doing in just a second. I know last year you guys only won 4 games as a football team with the Arizona Cardinals, but I saw your locker room really respond well to a new coaching staff and to Jonathan Gannon. After spending 1 year with Jonathan, just what really stood out to you about him as a head football coach?
You know, I think his ability to really talk about the process. If you look at all the great teams, whether it's the San Antonio Spurs and the NBA, the New England Patriots, during their dynasty, everything was all about the process. And I think that he's really bringing in that conversation of it being about the process. Now, we have to be able to have some results that speak to that. But I think that the process orientation that he's really brought to bear has been really good for this locker room, really good for this organization, a young team, and a team that has been rebuilding and rebuilt last year. Now we got to find a way to put the product on the field and be able to execute at a high level.
You know, with Kyler Murray, he wasn't able to play to start last season, eventually did make his triumphant return. Before he got hurt, the question was, can he go from being a good quarterback to a great quarterback? Now, hopefully having your quarterback for a full season, what are your expectations for what we can expect as fans out of Kyler Murray?
One, you see confidence and you see comfort. He's been in this offense for now a year and a half, 2 years. He's wasn't able to play last year, but was pretty hands-on and in and around the offense of staff and around the building quite a bit. And you can really sense his command and mastery of this system. And I think, when you get ready to put a product on the field on Sundays, when you have a quarterback that really understands the intimacies of the offense, I really feel that puts the offense in a great position. And being the franchise quarterback, that now puts the onus on him to go out and put us in the best positions to be successful week in and week out. And I think he's taken the necessary steps to do so.
I know there's been a lot of chatter before in the past about his maturity and his leadership. You seeing him grow throughout the years, what type of leader is Kyler Murray?
Again, I've said this for a number of years. He's continuing to mature. And I say at this point in the juncture to be able to master the offense. And I know I keep going back to that. His ability to show his teammates that he can master something and master this phase of his career and this phase of his life. I think that in itself is the leadership. Leadership is something that people want to follow and people want to see. And when they see you have confidence, that does a really, good thing for the locker room when they know that their quarterback has confidence and will play with confidence. And, you add the pieces around them, whether it be Marvin, JC, Mike Wilson, Greg Dortch, no matter what you have around them, when they feel that energy and that command and that confidence, all that does is elevate the play of everybody else around them.
Talking to Kelvin Beachum, you mentioned Marvin Harrison Jr. When he was at Ohio State, he looked like he was an NFL player in college. I think he personally is the best player, period, from this draft class. Now he's got to go prove it. We know the football lineage he comes from. The early impressions with Marvin Harrison Jr. are what you've been in this league for a long time.
When the ball is in his vicinity, it's his ball. And I think that is a special characteristic to have as a receiver. When the ball is in his vicinity, no matter where it's at in his vicinity, he's usually the person that ends up with the ball. So I think being able to see that put on display, game one versus Buffalo and throughout the year is going to be something that I'm looking forward to. Been around a number of great receivers, over my career. So excited to see how he performs and how he continues to develop as a receiver in the National Football League.
And we saw in Buffalo, right, for a young quarterback, when Josh Allen got Stephon Diggs, that's when his career took off. Jalen Hurts in Philly, when he got A.J. Brown, that's when he started to look like an MVP player. Tua Tagovailoa, when he gets Tyreek Hill, changed the direction of his career. Do you feel like Marvin is going to have that impact on Kyler Murray where that just becomes such a lethal 1-2 punch in the NFL?
That's the hope. But it has to be executed on. The NFL is not a place of hopes. It's about results. It's a performance-based league. And if those guys can do that on a consistent basis and have that 1-2 punch for the years to come, it'll be great for this organization. It'll be great for this team, and I think it'll be great for both of their careers.
Talking to Kelvin Beachum Jr. Right now. When you take a look on your offensive line, Paris Johnson Jr., you've seen him grow in the last year. Where is he at entering this season?
Man, I'm excited for him. Probably one of the most excitement that I have for any of the teammates not only on the offensive line but on the entire team. But seeing him transition from right tackle to left tackle, excited to see his maturity and his growth and the leadership that he's continuing to take on, as an offensive lineman. Again, another product of Ohio State that's starting on this offense. So excited to see the combo of the magic that they said they had over at Ohio State for a number of years and seeing if they can bring that magic to the Valley.
But what's your role on this team this year? Just wondering.
Man, I am a old grizzly, vet that's been in this thing for a long time. But at the end of the day, man, when my number is called, I got to find a way to pitch shutouts. And, that's been what I did last year. I'm the swing guy, so swinging, both sides for tackles. And if any one of those, those guys goes down for a play or two or for a game or a couple games, I got to come in and I got to do what I've been doing for the last decade plus, and that's finding ways to protect the quarterback.
It's crazy. I've talked to you, Kelvin Beachum, throughout the years, and you got in the league as a 7th-round pick back in 2012. Is it crazy how quickly it's gone by, and now you are one of those decade type of veteran guys? Is that surreal to you?
It's surreal, man. You don't. I don't think I even fully appreciated everything that's transpired, over the last decade or so. But you just put one foot in front of the other, man. You show up consistently day in and day out. You find what your process is, and you find ways to lean into that process and make it more efficient. And hopefully, it gets to this point. Never. I don't think I ever imagined that it would be this long or have the success that I've had. It's just wanted to find a way to be the best version of myself every single day. And it's led to, the ability to be a part of a roster this year. We'll find out for sure over the next couple of hours. But, being a part of a roster going into, year 13, man, it's special to be a part of.
How does your body feel? Just wondering this late in your career.
Some days are better than others. I'll put it that way. Today it actually feels pretty good, man. I didn't have to do anything this weekend. Taking care of the body. They've done a really good job here of taking care of me, getting me to Sundays. So I can't say enough good things about this staff and about this organization. But regarding the body, some days feel better than others. I'll put it that way.
Well, yeah, no, I totally understand that. I'm in my 30s now, so a lot different than when you were in your 20s. Totally agree on that front. And hey, I didn't take as many hits as you have with some of those defensive linemen you've had to go up against. I'm just wondering, assuming you make the team and everything works out in Arizona, do you enter this season thinking, okay, this could be it? This could be the final season for Kelvin Beachum?
No, this will not be the final season. I still have more left in the tank, still have some things that I want to get done and accomplished. But no, this is not the final year. This is just one additional chapter that's in my career. So by no means am I ready to move on to the next thing in life, nor or am I ready to hang things up just yet.
That's absolutely awesome. Good to hear. Tell me about what you're doing today with the folks at World Vision, a Christian humanitarian organization.
Man, been doing work with World Vision for 8 years now. Got connected with them back in 2016. Have worked with them, the global front around access to clean water. Have done some things in and around teacher resource centers, especially as kids are going back to school. Whether they're starting before Labor Day or after Labor Day. But have been a huge proponent of everything that they do. Have been a huge proponent of some of the things that they've started now. Believers for World Change, where they allow folks who want to give and want to participate with World Vision year-round the ability to do so. So worldvision.org is where you can find what you're most passionate about and find things that speak to you and speak to your heart.
Good luck. Always appreciate the time and whenever we get the chance to connect with you, Kelvin.
Yes, sir. Thanks so much for having me, Zach.
You got it. There he is, Kelvin Beachum. Some really good stuff from him. Obviously, a tremendous work he's doing with World Vision. And then you get a chance to hear his thoughts about Kyler Murray and how he's improved and what he's seen behind the scenes. And then I believe this could be a special season for Marvin Harrison Jr., who I absolutely love at the wide receiver position. People are saying, maybe Neighbors or Dunze, who I both think are going to be incredible, but maybe they're the best wide receiver in the draft. And I kept on saying Marvin Harrison Jr. I really do believe it's either Caleb Williams or Marvin Harrison Jr. as the best player, period. I said leading into the draft it was Marvin Harrison Jr., so I'm going to stick to that. But you look at some of the rookies this year. You got Caleb Williams starting with the Bears. Jaden Daniels is going to be starting with the Commanders. Bo Nix starting with the Broncos. Potentially now Drake Maye starting with the Patriots. And then you look at the wide receivers, Marvin Harrison Jr. and what he could do for Kyler Murray's career. Roma Dunze, who's just going to get better and better and I think is a stud on and off the field with the Bears. Malik Neighbors is going to be in the Big Apple with New York. So you got a lot of youngsters in this league. And this is going to be a fun rookie class to see how we're talking about these rookies at the end of the year. Because this time last year, I hate to rag on Hickey, but I was watching a Hickey show last night right here on the Infinity Sports Network. And he was going over predictions that hit or miss last year because he was doing this bold prediction segment. He said C.J. Stroud was going to be the worst first-round quarterback from the draft class. Now, I know that Hickey was a huge Bryce Young fan, but who would have thought with how we talked about Stroud, who was a second overall pick, but how we talked about Stroud, that he was going to have arguably the greatest rookie season we've ever seen from a quarterback. And Bryce Young was going to be a total flop in year one. I think a lot of that was more so on the Panthers rather than the natural abilities and the individual abilities of Bryce Young. But you never know how it's going to go. And there's always someone that comes out of nowhere like a Puka Nacua last year. And there's always someone we're not talking about that ends up being a steal. And then guys that we expect where it's like, now I wonder what they're going to be able to do in the NFL. But this is a year for the Cardinals where, yeah, you want to see them obviously improve from where they were at 4 wins, but there's still a lot of work to do. But this is all about that development of Kyler Murray and that relationship with Marvin Harrison Jr. And this is about Kyler showing he could be a good quarterback again, and then maybe a year from now go from being good to being a great QB in the NFL. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Appreciate Kelvin Beachum joining us a few moments ago. We'll take a time out. When we come on back, we'll update you with some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief next. But first up, with the latest Infinity Sports Network update, here he is, looking like he could coach St. John's, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
What about Utah football? I could be on Kyle Whittingham's staff.
Stanford basketball coach in the ACC now.
That too.
Enjoy those flights.
This report is sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, and your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. CeeDee Lamb's new deal is done. The second largest ever for a non-quarterback. 4 years, a total of $136 million. $100 million is guaranteed, and the $38 million signing bonus, the largest ever for a wide receiver. Juju Smith-Schuster is returning to Kansas City, agreeing to a deal with the Chiefs. Baseball this afternoon, Bobby Witt Jr., his 27th home run of the season, and has put Kansas City back in front of the Guardians 4-3 in the bottom half of the eighth. Bobby Witt Jr. and M.J. Melendez both homered yesterday and both have homered today. Right now in Boston, the Blue Jays lead the Red Sox by a score of 1-0 in the top of the seventh. George Springer with a home run in that one for Toronto. Day one of the U.S. Open, American Ben Shelton, a straight sets winner. Coco Gauff currently in action right now on the Arthur Ashe Stadium court. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
And it's time to ask the pros, where you, the listener, gets to ask us a question. It's brought to you by our friends at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Simply tweet your question at INF Sportsnet or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag #AskThePros. Be listening later in the show when we might answer your question. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Stu, just wondering, I'm sure you have in life. Have you ever been to a little kid's birthday party?
Yes, actually last weekend. So about 9 days ago.
How old was the child?
First birthday.
Wow.
Yes.
And what was the relationship? Why you were there?
College friends, and I am the godfather of the...
You're the godfather?
Of the daughter, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Godfather Stu?
How about that?
I kind of like it. That's pretty cool. So was it an extravagant birthday party? Because parents go out for this, or was it just an appropriate birthday party?
I think it's appropriate, 20 people, a lot of family, a few friends.
I went to the most extravagant birthday party, I think, ever yesterday.
And how old was the...
3 years old.
Okay.
So it's my cousin Amanda, her son Grayson, who is absolutely adorable. This was the most extravagant birthday party. I'm not even saying 3-year-old birthday party. Birthday party, period. I've been to clubs in Atlantic City, clubs in Las Vegas. I have seen wild 21st birthdays, many years ago. I just had my 30th birthday at Fogo de Chao, for crying out loud, a Brazilian steakhouse. I have never seen a birthday party operation like what my cousin Amanda put on for her son Grayson. They had a guitar player for the kids, where you do all the kids' songs, the nursery songs, all of that. Then they had face painters. It was just one after another after another. Then the clowns. Then there was a T-Rex mascot that was running around the place, and a magician. This party was 3 hours long. I've never seen an operation like this in New York City in a ballroom in her apartment. And it was absolutely crazy and wonderful. And the food, well done. My cousin Ryan called me. He goes, it was 4 o'clock. I hosted on WFAN yesterday. And I got off at 1, and I was thinking, maybe I'll go eat lunch. And I said to my cousin Ryan, what's the deal with the food at this party? Do I have to come stuff? Is it going to be a little skimpy, the food, or is there going to be a lot of food? He goes, I'm not telling you what they're getting. You'll love it. He goes, don't eat anything. He goes, you're going to be stuffed. So they start out with the charcuterie. They had a full bar for the adults. They had pigs in the blanket, all these different appetizers. And then I kid you not, they probably had, there was, trying to think, 20 kids there. So, right, each kid, 2 parents. There had to be 50 or 60 people there. Maybe even 70 or 80 at one point, because there was a lot of other, family and friends, people that live in their building. I would say at most 80 people at this party. They had 150 sandwiches, and they were from Katz's Deli. Pastrami sandwiches, Reuben, whatever you could imagine. And then the desserts. She had 15 birthday cakes. And then, what are those cupcakes baked by Melissa, too? Those cupcakes, chocolate-covered pretzels. It was insanity. I've been to birthday parties for children before, right? With my niece, my cousin Jenna's kid, that they had a petting zoo. All wonderful affairs. But not just children birthday parties, adult birthday parties. I've never seen an operation like this. So, a job well done to my cousin Amanda, and also a happy 3rd birthday to Grayson. My favorite part, though, about this whole story was I just found out Stu's a godfather. I may start introducing you on this show as Godfather Stu. So, anyway, we have some stories to get to, some audio to get to as well. Let's update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
Two-Tone Tony says Mraz is a pig in a blanket. And then Craig says, can your cousin adopt me as their kid? It's pretty good. Let's listen to Gerard Mayo. He was on the Greg Hill Show on Sports Radio WEEI and was asked about his quarterback competition between Jacoby Brissett and Drake Maye after the preseason.
This is a true competition. It wasn't fluff or anything like that. It's a true competition. And I would say at this current point, Drake has outplayed Jacoby. Now I'm saying that we have to take in the full body of work, going all the way back to the spring and the beginning of training camp. And we'll see where we end up. But those are the conversations that will happen here over the next couple of days.
I know Gerard Mayo has been all over the place with this quarterback competition. I don't know about you, Stu. Maybe I'm just surprised that he said what he said, that Drake has outperformed Jacoby Brissett, even though it's been true. Just because I'm used to Bill Belichick, where if Greg Hill asked that question, Bill Belichick would be like, it's a competition, and we'll tell you what we're going to do when we feel like, we have something to announce. But I was still surprised how open and forthright he was with the Greg Hill Show, Stu, about just saying that Drake has played better as of late.
Yeah, I thought he'd be more. Even if he was thinking that, the fact that he said it's kind of surprising.
It's refreshing, quite frankly.
Yeah.
Do you think Drake Maye starting week 1 for the Pats up against the Cincinnati Bengals? Now, this is how you know my football team now sucks, and I'm like the rest of you. I watched the preseason game last night. I actually had interest and excitement while watching a preseason game because Jacoby Brissett got hurt, Drake Maye came in, and right away, boom, down the field, 11-play, 88-yard drive, and I'm sitting in my apartment, new TV that I just put up, got 2 TVs in my living room, I'm like, that's my quarterback, baby! That's my quarterback! You think he's starting week 1, Drake Maye? Come on, Stu. Get me excited for the season, Stu.
I know. I still think it's Brissett.
So do I.
Yeah, I still think it's Brissett.
So do I, and here's why. The offensive line sucks in New England. And I'm not usually one of those people that say, you got to protect the quarterback, and you got to be someone that overprotects the quarterback, and you got to basically have the bumper lanes up in year 1. I'm usually the guy that says if the quarterback is ready, you play him. Drake Maye looks ready. But that offensive line could be, potentially, and I know they didn't have all their starters in last night, but they had enough playing. That offensive line could be the worst offensive line I've ever seen. That's how bad the offensive line is. So Drake Maye's going to play earlier than I anticipated when he got drafted, but I don't think he's starting the first week of the season. Let's go to Adam Schefter. He was on the ESPN, and he had an amazing story about his parents.
Yeah, we do have some breaking news here, and I was waiting to see if it was Brandon Ayuk or Jamar Chase or CeeDee Lamb, but all of a sudden, it was my mother who's been staying at our house, taking care of our dogs while my family and I were away for the weekend, and she notified me that my father has somehow locked us in the bathroom. We were showering and he came in, and now I'm locked in. Help. Now, my wife has one of the dogs to the vet. I'm here in New York City. What does my mother want me to do while my father, are locked in the bathroom? Like, does she expect me to do something around here while we're on TV? So in addition to getting texts on these NFL holdouts and hold-ins, Shirley and Jeffrey Schefter have been locked in the bathroom. My wife came home from the vet and has since freed them from the bondage of the bathroom. They have been freed. My father did panic. He was banging on the door handle came off. But all right now seems to be okay. So their hold-in is over.
That's great. Can I just ask a question, though? Did I hear that right? The father, his father and his mother were both locked in the bathroom? Is that right, Stu?
That's the same thing I heard, yeah.
So it wasn't just like the dad was showering or the dad was going to the bathroom and the wife was on the outs. They were together in the same bathroom?
That's what it would seem.
Can we get Adam Schefter on? Were your parents having a little hanky-panky time in that bathroom? That's the only thing I could think of. Unless, they're just a beautiful couple that likes to shower together. But I'm just saying. I need some more information on that, but that's a great story. Let's go to Jim Harbaugh. As the Schefters were locked in a bathroom, the Chargers were stuck in an elevator. Here's Coach Jim Harbaugh.
We dodged a bullet. I mean, that was a shared experience. 11 or 12 of our players were there for about 2 hours, and that's a shared experience. I mean, brought them closer together. I just missed it being on that elevator, and it's like, I wish I could have been there with those guys, But Justin Herbert was, and the remarkable things that came out of it was Justin Herbert's a leader. He was a rock. Kept everybody calm.
That's amazing. That could be audio clip of the year type of material. You know what, Stu? Let's do this. For the rest of the year, we'll see how we'll do this moving forward. Let's keep audio clips that we love, and then maybe we'll play them at the end of the year just from coaches. Save that Jim Harbaugh one.
That's going to be tough to beat.
Because that's tough to beat. Now, have you ever been stuck in an elevator?
No, not stuck.
I have once.
Ooh.
Reading Terminal Market, Philadelphia. Probably where you should have gone when you were in Philly a few weeks ago. There's a parking garage before you go across the street and go into Reading Terminal Market. It's a bunch of food stands, marketplace. It's awesome. I'm with one of my good friends from college. And I said, imagine if we got stuck in the elevator. And he goes, well, you won't jump up and down on the elevator. And I, with all my might, jumped as hard as I could. Elevator stopped. The fire department had to come. And I'm starting to freak out because I'm like, oh, if there's a camera in the elevator, I'm going to get in trouble. Like, I was a paranoid kid at the time, in college. And the fire department was able to open up the elevator. And I jump out of the the elevator, and I'm shaking the hand to the the firefighters, and then boom, got right in my car and left as quick as possible. But that was the one time I was stuck in an elevator. But I didn't show leadership or toughness like Justin Herbert did. Here is Jameis Winston with an amazing pregame speech before the Browns preseason game.
It's just about having fun, man. Yes, sir. Remember the time you played your best football game of your life. Yes, sir. Remember the time after that victory you went to CeeDee Pizza and celebrated with the boys. Yes, for real. Feel it in your heart, man. It's a long way back to Cleveland. Yeah. Let's not leave it without a victory. Yeah. All right? Yeah. So put everything you got on the line today. Let's have a game of memory, man. All right? I remember. Let's go. Family number 3. 1, 2, 3. Boom.
I would want Jameis Winston as my backup quarterback just for the pregame speeches. Like, growing up, Drew Brees always had that great pregame speech where he would do that whatever he did before the game. I can't recall it on the air with the chant that he did. But I would bring in Jameis Winston just to prevent my starting quarterback from having to do a great pregame speech. Jameis Winston, that stuff's awesome. All right, we'll keep it moving. Josh Harris. We all know the Commanders need a new stadium. He was asked if there will be a new stadium by 2030. Listen up.
Yeah, it's a target. I think it's a realistic target. I mean, I wouldn't say that, again, like there's, there's political things that need to occur. There's land zoning, a whole lot of other things. A lot of it is not within our control. So there's no way to predict a specific date, but I think that's a reasonable target.
It's the worst stadium in the NFL. So they needed a new stadium. And finally, here's Magic Johnson. He was asked about Anthony Edwards throwing shades at the 1990 NBA players. Panel with Stephen A. Smith.
Edwards just said the other day that there really wasn't any skilled players in the NBA back in the day outside of Michael Jordan. That's what he said. Your response to that, Irvin Magic Johnson?
Well, I don't never respond to a guy that's never won a championship. There's not nothing to really say. He didn't win a college championship. I don't know if he even won a high school championship. So,
Magic, when he tweets, just says the obvious things. But I learned last year when we talked about maybe Steph being the greatest point guard of all time and Magic just dropped the mic when we had him on the show. That's the Magic I like to see. And Magic with Anthony Edwards, that was another drop the mic. He should bring the panel and the one-on-one interview type of Magic Johnson over to X, over to Twitter, because it'd be a lot better version of Magic Johnson than usually what we see from his tweets. Clay Harbor's in the building. He'll join us next in studio. We'll talk some NFL. It is the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 2 minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
All righty, rocking and rolling. Away we go. Hour number 2 of our radio program. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Now joining us in studio is former NFL tight end. He's played for the Eagles, the Jaguars, the Pats, the Lions, was on the Saints. That, of course, is our guy, Clay Harbor. Clay, always great to see you. Thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
Good, man. Appreciate you having me on. It might have been easier to say the teams that I didn't play for. You know, I had some frequent flyer miles back in the day, man, just hopping on those planes. But I think the thing it does give me a perspective on, Zach, is what some of these guys are going through right now as far as the guys, the 53rd guy in the roster, but also the 54th guy in the roster, the guy that doesn't make it. So it's an interesting time for those guys, and I always feel for them because I've been there and I've been through it. But it's just a thing to where you got to continue believing and playing, and then you'll find your opportunity eventually.
So let me just start with that then, because cutdown day is tomorrow. Mm-hmm. You've told me before you were the last guy on the roster. You were also the first guy to miss the roster.
Yeah.
What is tomorrow like as we start to slowly see the rosters shape on out around the league?
So it's interesting. When I was in New England in 2016, I had left Jacksonville, and like looking back in hindsight, I probably should have stayed in Jacksonville. Like the same contract offer, but for me, I'm like, I'm going to go to New England. I'm going to win a Super Bowl. I'm going to play with Belichick. I'm going to play with Brady. I'm going to play with Gronk. You know, I'm going to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to do all this stuff, but I should have stayed in Jacksonville just as a career longevity type thing, because why do you want to go to a tight end room with Rob Gronkowski and Martellus Bennett? And they just drafted a guy, A.J. Derby, back then. They have James Devlin as a fullback. It's a pretty tough room to make, right? So I go to New England. I end up getting injured. I have adductor surgery. And after I play the last preseason game, one of the hardest games to this day I played 4 quarters. I played every special team, and I was starting because, obviously, the preseason, they're not playing Gronk and they're not playing Martellus. So I had packed my bags. I told my family I was gone. I go, there's no way I make this team. They're not keeping 4 tight ends and a fullback, and literally had my computer ready. And we find out when everybody else finds out. When you guys find out, you think the players already know? No, they're checking, you're refreshing the online, the internet, and you're waiting to see which guys are released. So I'm waiting. I see, I didn't know that guy was getting released. We go from 70 to 65. We go from 65 to 60. We go from 60 to 55. I'm like, what? I haven't got called yet. I'm like making sure my service is on. I knew I was gone. 54. I go, there's one last cut left. I make the team with the Patriots. We kept 4 tight ends and a fullback to start the year. Walking in the building, I'm a little nervous because I'm like, wait, is my key card going to work to get in here or is somebody punking me? So they let me in, and next thing you know, I only played 6 games. Ended up getting released a little bit later. It was during the Deflategate time. We had a couple injuries, and back then you didn't have the short-term injured reserve, so you had to release players to bring players in to play the position that the guys were injured for, because you couldn't put a guy on short-term injured reserve and bring him back. It's either he's on IR or he's not. So he could miss 4 games, but he still counts as a roster spot. Ended up getting picked up by the Lions that year. But then also, making the team, I was in a position in Philadelphia to where I was the last guy to miss. I was the final cut of that year, 2013 actually, when Chip Kelly came in and took over the Eagles. And they moved me to wide receiver, told me they were going to keep me, and it's tough. You think you're going to be on a team, you think you're going to be one place. Back now you get a little more time, but back then you had one day. Okay, this is Saturday's cut down day. Sunday you figure out where you're going, and you're flying out on Monday, and you have to be ready for practice on Monday because Tuesday, Wednesday, you're in game week. So for me, I get cut from the Eagles. I signed with the Jacksonville Jaguars. And first off, I was trying to lose weight because I thought I was going to be a wide receiver.
Sure.
And I signed with the Jaguars. First game, we're playing against the Kansas City Chiefs, who had the head coach of the team that I was playing with before, Andy Reid. Mercedes Lewis gets hurt during practice. I start. The first play of that season, I caught a 15-yard pass against Andy Reid. I go, man, the NFL is crazy.
So you're like Baker Mayfield with the Rams a few years ago, coming in with no prep and then boom.
Boom. It was incredible, and it was a whirlwind, and things ended up going well in Jacksonville for me, not so much the team, but ended up finding a home there for a while. But it just goes to show you how crazy this time of year is for guys.
Just wondering, when you get released by the Patriots a few weeks into the season, is it like Bears Nigerian calls you and says, we'll patch you through to Belichick, or does Bill even not tell you that you're not going to be a part of the team anymore?
No, so we got a guy, the NFL players call him the Grim Reaper. Everybody knows who the Grim Reaper is. It's the same guy. You feel bad for the guy because he's like some scout intern, because nobody wants that job.
Yeah.
But when this guy comes in and taps you and says, hey, you're getting cut. You're getting cut. We call him the Reaper. And be like, did you see the Reaper guy? They got John today, man. The Reaper, dude, the Reaper's lurking today. Everybody's getting nervous. Who's he looking for? Who's he looking for? I don't know. So the Reaper comes in, and luckily for me, I was like leaving because it's embarrassing.
Yeah.
I was leaving a special teams meeting from the day before the game.
Get like a trash bag.
And he taps me, and he's like, yo, Clay, can you bring your playbook and come to my office? Like, oh my God, heart drops there at that point. And takes me to the office. I ended up waiting for like an hour in this office. I texted my agent. I'm like, dude, I'm getting cut. He's like, dude, I just texted several teams. You're going to be signed tomorrow. I'm like, that's good, but I don't know where. And Bill comes in. He's like, Clay, appreciate all the hard work you've done here. We're deciding to bolster up the linebacker position. And there's a chance we bring you back, but I don't think you make it through waiver wires. But, we're releasing you. And I said, thanks for the opportunity. Appreciate it. Shook Nick Caserio's hand, shook Bill Belichick's hand, walked out the door. My agent says, okay, we got 2 offers. You can either go to the Detroit Lions, who aren't going to pay, they're not going to pay you a signing bonus, but they say Eric Ebron is out for an extended period of time. You should be the starter. Or you go to the Oakland Raiders, who are offering you a couple $100,000 to sign, come in and you'll be the number 2 tight end right away. I go, dude, I'm going to start. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm going to bet on myself. Sure. If I start with Matthew Stafford, this is going to be a great opportunity. I get there. The first person I see when I sign with the Lions, Eric Ebron. I'm like, hey, man, I'm sorry about your ankle. He's like, I just rolled it. I'll be back in 2 weeks.
Oh, man.
So I text my agent. I go, dude.
Should have took the money.
Yeah. I go, Ebron's back in 2 weeks. So now I'm back to being the 3rd tight end, running down on special teams, doing the slot stuff, the blocking stuff. And it's fun. I enjoyed that part of the game. But the whole reason I went there was to have an opportunity to show different part of my game, that I could be that pass-catching guy that can have, 50, catches a year type thing. But, unfortunately, it didn't work out.
Clay Harbor here with us. You mentioned Chip Kelly. I know he got rid of you.
Yeah.
But Chip now, it's crazy how his career has gone. I never thought he should have taken the Niners job after, it worked out well in the beginning in Philly, and then it was a disaster towards the end. Strong starts, terrible finishes. And then we know it was only 1 year in San Francisco. The guy used to dominate college football.
Ohio State now.
Yeah, and now he's the OC at Ohio State. He left. We knew he was trying to leave UCLA. It was like every year he was on the hot seat, and he was just fine, but he wasn't great.
Yeah.
Now he's the OC of Ohio State. Did you like the brief time with Chip?
No, I wasn't a big Chip guy, and a lot of the Eagles guys weren't.
A lot of smoothies.
I didn't mind it. Like, he tried to run it, and the guys were all set in the way. And this was back where there was the shift was coming. It was like the old school NFL. You had just found the new collective bargaining agreement, so now sports science was becoming a thing. And he kind of tried to run it like a college. The reason I wasn't a big fan of Chip is because he moved me to linebacker from tight end. So he drafts Zach Ertz. Obviously, that worked out for him. He signed James Casey, had Brent Selleck, and without taking a snap, he brought a practice squad guy in front of me. Without taking a snap, I go from the number 2 tight end for 3 years. I'm literally a 7. I'm getting no reps in practice. And I remember one practice, all of a sudden they decided they want to move me to linebacker. So I try to play linebacker.
Did you ever play defense before?
Never, Zach. I played defense in high school periodically. I was pass rushing. I was pass rushing Jason Peters and Lane Johnson. That wasn't going well. So I go to his office and I tell him he has an open door policy. I say, hey, I think it would be best if you guys just release me or trade me. He's like, I'm not going to trade you. And he's like, why? Why? I go, because I'm a tight end. He goes, what makes you think you can play tight end in this league? I go, I've played tight end for 3 years in this league.
What makes you think I can play linebacker in this league?
I go, I'm not a linebacker. And he's like, well, I think you could play linebacker. And he starts naming off the teams that don't need a tight end. And I'm like, this is weird. So I skipped the next several days of OTAs. And I finally come back, and all the coaches are mad at me. They move me back to tight end, but I'm like a 7, the last guy on the roster. I'll go through an hour of practice without playing, and then they'll try to put me in the last period when I'm cold as ice. Like if I run a route, I'm gonna tear a hamstring. Coach tries to put me in. He goes, Clay, you're in. I go, no. He goes, no, you're in. I go, Coach, you haven't played me in over an hour.
Wow.
I go, there's no way I can play right now and go play a full speed tackle rep of football when you're just sitting around for an hour. So that goes on. Finally, preseason games come around. I have a really good first preseason game against the Patriots. I have 4 catches for 90 yards, some big downfield catches. He brings me in the office. Okay, Clay. He's like, I see you've been making plays. You've been working hard. We want to move you to wide receiver now. So he moved me to wide receiver, and that's when I started dropping the weight. He goes, okay, we're going to keep you at wide receiver. We think we found a spot for you, this in-between guy. We need you to keep dropping weight just so you can get in and out of your drops. And I'm like, cool. And I'm dropping weight. Get down to 230. Last cut. Now I'm trying to find a job at tight end, and I'm 230 pounds. And it worked out well. Had a good year with Jacksonville. Ended up signing a deal after that with Jacksonville. But just the way it went about that for me rubbed me the wrong way. Me asking to get released because he's got me.
Do you think he dragged you along and then cut you as the last guy?
Dragged me the last. It was even after the deadline.
That's what it seems like.
There was 54. It was like people okay, he's waiting, and finally I'm the very last cut. And then the Jaguars were first in the waiver wire because they're the Jaguars and they're the worst team in the league, and I got picked up by them.
Clay Harbor here with us talking about the Jaguars. I think they're in a fascinating spot this year. Because last year, they were the team with how now we talk about the Texans this year. Mm-hmm. I think people are sleeping on Jacksonville, and this is a huge year, not only for Trevor Lawrence, but also Doug Peterson.
Oh, it's huge for Doug, and I don't know if he's going to end up calling the plays, him or Press Taylor. You've heard Doug's calling them. You've heard Press is calling them, but I think the biggest signing that they had, and they've had some good ones, obviously I love Eric Armstead, the defensive end from San Francisco. If this guy's healthy, he's a top 5, top 10 player at his position. If he's healthy, he can do a lot of things. And you put him on the D-line, obviously with Josh Hines Allen, a guy who had 18.5 sacks last year, who's only 27 years old. Trayvon Walker had double-digit sacks last year. Looks like he's coming into his own. And Devon Hamilton is a guy that's very underrated. So that defensive line, to me, is stacked. Okay, I like their linebackers. Foye Oluokun is a guy. Chad Muma, these guys can play. The defensive backfield is a little bit of a question with what they got there. But offensively, people think they're going to be taking this hit because Calvin Ridley's gone. I think Brian Johnson was one of the best draft picks of the draft because they trade back from 18 to 23. They're able to get Brian Johnson Jr., who had 17 touchdowns. This guy was the second fastest receiver in the combine. He played in the SEC.
At LSU.
At LSU. The guy plays in the SEC. He plays against the best competition. He's a player. You see everything coming out of camp. Brian Johnson is going to give Trevor something he hasn't had. Christian Kirk wasn't healthy last year. Trevor wasn't healthy last year. Travis Etienne was battling injuries the second half of the season, and that's when the stuff kind of hit the fan for them. They got rid of Luke Fortner. You bring in Mitch Morse. Mitch Morse, the guy that played for Josh Allen for a number of years, a center. He's smart. He knows his stuff. He's not a great center, but he's an improvement. He's going to help Trevor exponentially, in my opinion. So I think they're really one of these underrated teams. Gabe Davis, I think, is an upgrade over Zay Jones. He's a guy that Josh Allen, one of his favorite targets. He's not going to blow the top off of defense, but he is a guy that is a very good route runner. He's very detailed. He's good in the locker room. I've met the guy. Everybody likes him. And you can't forget Travis Etienne Jr. I think he is going to have a huge year this year. His offensive line didn't do a good job for him last year. But this year, I think Doug's going to make a point to get him the ball, and he's got a couple of young guys behind him that can give him a spell. Tank Bigsby didn't have a great year last year, but I think he's improved. Everything I've heard from camp over there. So I think Jacksonville, AFC South is really intriguing because the Colts, they were right there at the playoffs.
Without
now
a quarterback.
Got Anthony Richardson. Yeah. Now you got Latu. Now you got A.D. Mitchell to go along with Pittman and Pierce. So, and obviously we all know about the Texans, bringing in the pass rushers, bringing in Diggs. So the AFC South, to me, is going to be one of the better conferences in the league. It's going to be really interesting how things shake down, if you ask me.
Clay Harbor here with us. Going to the NFC North, which I know you cover extensively. The Chicago Bears, you live in Chicago. I think this is a 9-8 football team, potentially 10-7. And I think the Bears with Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze here in year one are going to the postseason. Yourself?
I'm right there with you, Zach. I think 9-8, 10-7 is realistic, and obviously it comes down to how Caleb Williams plays. But I've been to probably seven preseason games, and obviously I've watched all the seven training camp practices. I've been to a couple of the preseason games as well, and these guys are playing well, right? The only questions for me is how's this offensive line going to shake out? Larry Borum, their backup swing tackle, just went down, so if Braxton Jones or Darnell Wright, for some reason, get banged up, it's going to be a long fall. It's going to be a long... So that's a risk for me. I think interior, Nate Davis. Can this guy stay healthy? Can he stay on the field? I love Tevin Jenkins. In my opinion, he's one of the best left guards in the NFL. And then you got that battle. They still haven't decided who's going to be the starting center, Ryan Bates, Coleman Shelton. But I think both of them are an upgrade from last year, right? And we can't talk about the Bears right now without talking about their weapons. I mean, Rome Odunze has done an excellent job. You got Cole Kmet, one of my favorite tight ends in the league. But it's been interesting watching because Gerald Everett has split snaps with Cole Kmet. So Shane Waldron is putting in a bunch of different formations. He's using a ton of motion this year. I know last year in Seattle, what was the gripe on him? He became too predictable with his formations and personnel. Sometimes I'll watch a play and I go, this is a sift block for the tight end. And you know what? No, he's gotten better at that. He's putting a lot of window dressing on his plays, shifts, motion. He's moving around a lot. I think he is going to be a huge upgrade from Luke Getsy. And then Keenan Allen. People are saying Keenan Allen's fat and slow. Have you heard that?
I have. Keenan Allen's been disrespected his entire career.
Training camp, he's been incredible. The routes, the way this guy run routes is so good. He just has such an understanding. He's one of those guys that's playing chess. He knows the way the defensive back is guarding him, right? So if he's got inside leverage and he has an outbreaking route, he's the guy that's going to press him inside. He knows how far this guy's got to go inside to not get, and then he's going to break out and save so much space. Just the little things. Watching him play, I'm like, man, that guy is good. It's like at the end of my career, I started figuring out some of this stuff, and just to see a guy like him in his prime, still I know he's getting old, but utilizing all those strategies, I'm like, this guy is going to be successful again if he can stay healthy. And then DJ Moore, he broke the bank, but this guy's a huge weapon. So Caleb has weapons. The defense looks okay. They just made a couple moves, bringing in a couple of new defensive ends, and I don't think these guys are huge players, but I think they're going to help. Chris Williams at defensive tackle. He's played with Eberflus before, not a huge name, but I think that he's attacking positions that you know you are weak at, right? So bringing these guys in, we needed an edge rusher, and they traded for Darnell Taylor, and he's a guy that's had 20 sacks over the last 3 years. So Eberflus and Poles did a good job of getting through camp and finding out where you're weak. So now they've signed a D-end and a defensive tackle. Zach Pickens is hurt. Their third-round draft pick is injured right now, and you don't know when he's going to be ready to play. And they tried to make that move for Matthew Judon, and he chose to go to Atlanta. I mean, I guess it's a lot warmer out there, but it's unfortunate because you put Judon and Montez Sweat together, there's going to be some punch. Oh my gosh, it would have been great.
Let me get you out here on this, Clay Harbor. Eagles. How many teams in the NFC do you think are better than the Eagles entering this season?
None.
Not the Niners.
Not the Niners. I mean, obviously they got after the Eagles last year, and the Eagles' finish was abysmal. It was embarrassing. It was like, as a former Eagle and as a fan, it was awful. But for me, a lot of it had to do with the coaching. You're switching your defensive coordinator halfway through the season. Like, you're learning one system, and you're coming in like it was like a reality show. And we know, Zach, I know about reality TV shows. I'm like, am I watching The Bachelor here? Are they setting this up, man?
Matt Patricia wasn't getting a rose.
Matt Patricia did not get a rose. And I think bringing in Fangio, obviously didn't have a great year, but this guy knows defense. And being there at camp, I've been to a couple days at camp. To me, I haven't been as impressed with an offensive coordinator as I have with Kellen Moore in a long time. I only saw a couple practices, but the way he's able to isolate Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown and have an equal amount of plays for each of those guys, utilizing motion. Last year, the Eagles were last in motion. Motion does a few things. Now Jalen Hurts can say, this is man, this is zone. Who's following who? Who's guarding who? Okay, you're getting information. Instead of the multiple choice test being 6 questions, now it's 2. You can narrow that down. It's either this or that. Easy. Tom Brady, when I played with the Patriots, always had emotion. Running back always started out, came back. There was always something so he could gather some information and start eliminating things and putting pressure on a defense to show what they're doing. And then also, if you're playing a young defense, you start sending guys in motion, that's when they have to make these instant checks. They're not checking it, okay, we have this, and we're just sitting here and we're going to run it. So what I saw was Jalen Hurts being incredibly poised and just owning this offense. Obviously, you heard about the interceptions where he didn't throw an interception in like 300 pass attempts in training camp, but he looks so good. Saquon looks good. The offensive line, I know without Kelsey, people are wanting. I like Cam Jurgens. I like who they have under center. I think Dallas Goedert is poised for a breakout year. He's looking solid. Hurts, A.J. Brown, and Devontae Smith are looking like they are on the same page, and that defense looks much better. I know you got an aging Slay, Bradbury's at safety, but you really did do a good job of bringing in some big-time cornerbacks. I think Quinyon Mitchell is going to be a breakout player. This guy's competitive. When I was there, he's going one-on-one against A.J. Brown, and he's chirping A.J. Brown, and he got the better of him.
Rookie out of Toledo, yeah.
He doesn't. He's one of those guys that will compete against anybody. A.J. Brown one-on-ones, he shut him down like 3 times, and he let him hear about it. I couldn't imagine going in as a rookie and running a route on, who are my guys? I don't know, Quentin Michael, Ernie Sims, Trent Cole, getting the better of them a couple reps and letting them know about it. I'm just going to walk back to the huddle. He's flexing on him. He's giving him a little shove. I love how competitive he is. And to me, he's going to be a breakout player this year, just like Bryce Huff is going to do well. Jalen Carter trailed off the end of the season, but that's what happens. That's a called rookie wall. He's going to have a full good season this year. I know they missed Fletcher Cox, but I think Josh Sweat also has a big year this year.
He's Clay Harbor, the former NFL tight end. Clay, I always appreciate you coming in. Thanks so much.
I appreciate it, Zach. My pleasure.
You got it. There he is, Clay Harbor. We'll come on back. We'll do a little onside, offside. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 4 minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Zach's taking on the most polarizing issues in sports. Which side of the line of scrimmage will he end up on?
Offside. Defense number 69.
It's Onsides, Offsides with Zach Gelb.
Alrighty, Stu, let's do a little onside, offside. What do you got cooking for me today?
All right, Zach, the two-time defending Super Bowl champions were thin at receiver last season, but entered 2024 with some upgrades, including rookie receiver Xavier Worthy and former first-round pick Hollywood Brown. Now, today, reports say that the team is interested in bringing back former leading receiver Juju Smith-Schuster. So, onsides, offsides, the Chiefs are better this year than they were last year.
So this is not just on the offensive side of the ball, is what you're asking.
Yes, better overall.
And they did lose L'Jarius Sneed. They did trade him away. I would say because of the offensive moves, and hey, they signed Juju. You know, they have Xavier Worthy. We'll see what he does. I know Hollywood Brown is injured. I would say they're slightly. They're pretty close to being the same, but I would say slightly better this year than they were last year. So, they were the 3rd seed last year, or 4th seed in the playoffs. I think they were the 3rd. I think that they'll be back into a top 2 seed. Yeah, because they played the Dolphins. I think they were the 3 seed last year in the playoffs. So I'll say they'll be probably 2 this year. So I'll go on sides.
All right, the Cleveland Browns boasted one of the best, deepest backfields in the league before 4-time Pro Bowler Nick Chubb went down with a knee injury. Today, the team announced that Chubb will start the season on the PUP list, meaning that he will miss at least the first 4 games of the season. So onsides, offsides, the Browns need Chubb to play more than 10 games if they hope to make the playoffs.
That's an offside, and the reason why it's offside is when he played 2 last year, and they made the playoffs without him. I love Nick Chubb. He is one of my favorite players in the league, but his position is now devalued. You know, he's a great running back, but coming off an injury, they didn't have him last year, and they were still able to make the playoffs. So to say that he needs to play at least 10 games this year for the Browns to make the playoffs, I don't buy into that.
The Florida State Seminoles felt like they were robbed of a playoff spot last year, despite going undefeated in the Power 5 ACC. However, that success did not translate into the season, as the 10th-ranked Seminoles lost their opening game to Georgia Tech on Saturday. Highly touted transfer quarterback DJ Ovie Mughelli struggled, throwing for under 200 yards with no TD passes. So onsides, offsides, you still expect Florida State to represent the ACC in the college football playoff.
What a bizarre, and I mean a bizarre game, because they got that ball right out of the gate. They scored, they go for 2, and it's like, oh, here comes Florida State, about to just smack Georgia Tech. And then as that game just did go on, Georgia Tech was the better team. Florida State got mauled in the trenches, and it was almost like they didn't want DJ Mughelli to air the ball out. Those passes were so short, and I thought they handcuffed him, quite frankly, in that game. And I love Mike Norvell, but I didn't love the approach to the offensive side of the ball. And then they tease you. DJ Mughelli had some big 4th down conversions, 4th and 8, 4th and 7, conversion. They score, and then Georgia Tech, even when it looked like they were getting pushed in the wrong direction, they go make that field goal to win the game. But you asked me, you still expect Florida State to represent the ACC in the college football playoff? It's still possible. You know, it's 1 loss. 12 teams do get in. But even though my official college football playoff predictions will come on Wednesday, I revealed this last week, I have Virginia Tech actually winning the ACC. So I didn't expect Florida State. They're obviously under consideration to win the ACC. I went with Virginia Tech going back to last week. So now for me to say after a loss that Florida State's going to usurp Virginia Tech in my mind, that's an offside for me.
Offside. All right, another day and another story of Prime drama, Coach Prime that is, after Deion got backlash for refusing to answer any questions from any CBS reporter, affiliate, or station. The Colorado head coach has...
Or shows that maybe it used to be CBS.
Yes, that as well. The Colorado head coach has...
I wonder why Coach Prime was supposed to join us, and then we found out after he joined us for 2 straight years he wasn't going to join us.
Yeah.
Wonder why there. Interesting.
That Colorado coach...
Well, you were once affiliated with CBS, so we won't even come on with you, even though you reached out to us wanting to do the interview. I knew I couldn't help myself with that one. I knew I would eventually just tell that story, but all right, let's keep it
only a matter of time. The Colorado coach has reportedly banned the Denver Post's Sean Keeler for his, quote, series of sustained personal attacks, end quote, towards Deion and the program. Onsides, offsides, even if Deion wins this year in Colorado, major Power 5 programs will be turned off from hiring him due to his antics.
I actually advocated for Deion to get the Auburn job. I wanted to see him coach in the SEC. But a lot of programs like control, and when you bring in Deion, you hand the entire program over to him, and the athletic director basically has no say. He's just a title. So I do believe, number one, he's got to go win first. And, let's have him be bowl eligible before we talk about him getting another job if he wants one. He'll get another job. But will there be some programs that are turned off with all these antics from him? Yeah, absolutely. So even if Deion wins this year in Colorado, major 5 programs or now it's 4 really because there's no more Pac-12, will be turned off from hiring him due to his antics, I will say onsides.
All right, and last one, Aaron Judge smashed his 50th and 51st homers of the season in yesterday's 10-3 win over the Rockies. Judge leads baseball in home runs, RBIs, on-base percentage, slugging percentage, and OPS, and is second in the league in batting average. He has the 6th most long balls before September in history and is on pace to break his own American League record of 62 in a season. In the NL, meanwhile, Shohei Ohtani became just the 6th member of the 40-40 club, reaching the feat on an epic walk-off 2-out grand slam in the bottom of the 9th inning on Friday. So onsides, offsides, Aaron Judge has passed Shohei Ohtani as the best hitter in baseball.
Ohtani is the better player because that also factors in when he pitches. I know he threw off the mound or had a bullpen session the other day, first time throwing in a while, but I actually do think Aaron Judge is the better hitter. He's batting .333 this year. I know Ohtani's coming off the Tommy John situation. He's batting .292. Aaron Judge has 51 home runs. Ohtani has 41. And RBIs, Aaron Judge is 122. Ohtani has 94. I think people, just because they see the size of Aaron Judge, are like, oh, he's just a power hitter. No, he does everything. And it's kind of crazy. I was on FAN yesterday, and I was talking to Jerry Hairston Jr. And when I started the conversation, he had 49 home runs. By the end of the day, he had 51. It's just wild what Judge is doing. That would be a phenomenal World Series if we see it. Dodgers, Yankees, because you get Ohtani going up against Judge. You would get Soto going up against Mookie Betts, and you also have Freddie Freeman on the Dodgers as well. And I guess you could say Giancarlo Stanton if you want to. I don't feel like it doesn't belong, but you could throw him in there for the pass with the New York Yankees. So onside, offside, Judge has passed. Shohei Ohtani is the best hitter in baseball. Yes, I do agree. Onsides. Okay, we will take a break. When we come on back, we have to continue our NFL preview. We will preview the Atlanta Falcons today. Ovie Mughelli, the former fullback for the Falcons, and now does a great job hosting Believe in Falcons, will join us next. Update time first. Here he is, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Well, CeeDee Lamb's holdout comes to an end with the Cowboys, giving their receiver a 4-year deal where the total of $136 million and $100 million is guaranteed, the second biggest deal for a non-quarterback. The Patriots have yet to name their starting quarterback, but it certainly seems the third pick overall, Drake Maye, has a leg up. Rookie head coach Gerard Mayo discussed the situation on the Greg Hill Show on WEEI in Boston.
This is a true competition. It wasn't fluff or anything like that. It's a true competition, and I would say at this current point, Drake has outplayed Jacoby. Now I'm saying that we have to take in the full body of work, going all the way back to the spring and the beginning of training camp, and we'll see where we end up. But those are the conversations that will happen here over the next couple of days.
The Chiefs and receiver Juju Smith-Schuster are reunited with the veteran agreeing to a deal with the defending Super Bowl champs. Baseball this afternoon, the Royals have closed within 2 games of the Guardians in the AL Central with a 4-3 win this afternoon in Cleveland. Bobby Witt Jr. with his 27th home run of the season in that one, and the Blue Jays down the Red Sox 4-1. George Springer with a home run in the victory for Toronto. I'm Rich Ackerman.
Hey, like us on Facebook. Our handle is INF Sportsnet. That's INF Sportsnet for our Facebook page. This is the Infinity Sports Network.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network, and it is the Zach Gelb Show. Hopefully, we'll preview the Atlanta Falcons coming up momentarily with Ovie Mughelli, the former Falcons fullback and host of Believe in Falcons. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. Before we hopefully get to Ovie, let's reset some of the biggest stories of the day. CeeDee Lamb gets $136 million from the Dallas Cowboys. We know what the guarantees are as well for CeeDee Lamb. It wasn't a matter of if the deal was going to get done. I never felt like this deal wasn't going to get done. It was just going to be when it was going to get done. So CeeDee Lamb gets $100 million guaranteed and $38 million at signing bonus, and that deal gets done today. He's the second highest paid non-quarterback in NFL history, according to Ian Rappaport. And that brings up, what do you expect out of the Cowboys this year? Because they didn't really get better this offseason. And this is a team that won the NFC East. You know, I know we like to troll the Cowboys a bunch and rail on the Cowboys a bunch. The last 3 years, though, 12 wins, 12 wins, 12 wins, and now it's okay. Are they going to be able to get back into the postseason? The Eagles are a better team. The only way the Eagles don't win this division is either there is a disaster of an injury or more likely a chemistry problem with that team with a disconnect from the head coach and Nick Sirianni and then also the quarterback in Jalen Hurts. So I really do anticipate, especially when there has been a repeat winner in the NFC since the early 2000s, the Cowboys won it this past year, I really do expect the Eagles to win this division. Now, Clay Harbor just joined us a few moments ago, earlier in the hour, and he thinks the Eagles are the best team in the NFC entering this season. They have the talent, but after what the 49ers did, it's same thing like going into this last year. Going into this last year with what the Eagles did to the 49ers, you had to say it was the Eagles. And then the 49ers proved it was them. Going into this year, the team to beat in the NFC are the 49ers, and it's up to the Eagles to grab that rope back. And then you have the Lions in the mix as well, the Packers in the mix as well, and I would even say the Rams are in the mix as well when you look at the NFC. So winning the NFC East, I love Philadelphia to do so. Then after that, it comes down to, will the Cowboys make the playoffs? And every year there's at least a team or two that made the postseason a year before, if not more, that end up missing the postseason the next year. And when I look at this Cowboys team, I know they thrive off uncomfortable situations and drama. I think we're headed into a year where the Cowboys miss the playoffs. So the poll question, the Dallas Cowboys this year, and you can find it on Twitter at Zach Gelb. You could also see it at INF Sportsnet. Will win the NFC East at 11.2%, be a wildcard team at 43.4%, be in the NFC title game and at 3.9%, and then miss the playoffs is in at 41.4%. So that's where you can find it on Twitter right now, at Zach Gelb and also at INF Sportsnet. It is now time to preview the Atlanta Falcons' upcoming season. Let's get to it still.
Football season is right around the corner.
Holding himself, runs to the left, he's to the 5, Lamar's in, touchdown Ravens. They're going to have a championship game in Baltimore because the hay's in the barn.
Will it be your team's year to hoist the Lombardi?
In the shotgun, Mahomes. He runs and he throws, caught, touchdown. It's caught. Hardman caught the ball. The Chiefs have won. The Chiefs have won. The entire bench empties. Chasing Mahomes in the end zone. Their third Super Bowl in 5 years.
We preview all 32 teams right here on the Zach Gelb Show. The Atlanta Falcons.
And we welcome in former Falcons fullback Ovie Mughelli right now to preview the Falcons. That does a great job as the host of Believe in Falcons across the Believe podcasting network. Ovie, thanks so much for doing this. How you been?
I've been good, man. Thanks for having me on.
Well, thanks so much for coming on. I actually want to start with this secondary because a lot of the conversation has been offense with the Falcons, obviously with what happened in the offseason at the quarterback position. I love Jesse Bates. He is phenomenal. A.J. Terrell, really good young cornerback. And then they bring in someone that I still couldn't believe he was available in Justin Simmons. This is a heck of a secondary that the Falcons have.
Yeah, a heck of a secondary is an understatement. I was talking to my co-host, Michael Turner, and saying that if Matt Ryan had the type of defense that we're going to build right now, we'd have a ring. I'd have a Super Bowl ring. Mike would have a Super Bowl ring. Like, our defense has always been, love those guys, but they were always the redheaded stepchild. Like, the money was in the offense, the power was in the offense. We want a defense just to hold on. But now, as you saw last year with the defense we had, it was a good defense, but it wasn't what we have this year. They were attacking. Like, they were intercepting. They were causing turnovers. They were the reason we were winning games, even though last year was still rough. To have the defense now be a strength for us, as much as it pains me to say this, defense does win championships, and offense is like fun to watch. But our defense now is going to help us be a winner in Atlanta.
And you still got Grady Jarrett there. Matthew Judon comes over via trade the other week from New England. Like, what's the ceiling for this defense? Like, can this defense just be good, or can you see them actually being a great defense this year?
I don't have the stats in front of me, but I don't know the last time we were like a top 10 overall defense. And I feel like minimum, like, we can do that, if not more. But just having a defense that's on the positive half of the league, that was all Falcon fans could wish for. But now to be like in the top third or top 10 defense with Grady Jarrett and Judon, there's so many great quarterbacks in the league. We know it's a quarterback-driven league. We have had trouble getting the quarterback down. But last year, with some great coaches and with some great schemes, we were able to, even with what some might say, lacking a stud, lacking a guy, lacking someone who has that double-digit sacks on repeat. We had more of a by committee way to do it, but we still had more sacks than we've had in a long time. But now that we have a bona fide stud in Judon, like, the sky's the limit. I think we really can be better than we've been in a long time on the defensive side of the ball.
What can you expect, Ovie Mughelli, out of Raheem Morris? Because a lot of people, they still look at Atlanta, and I think Raheem is obviously more than deserving of another opportunity. I wish him nothing but the best. But a lot of us thought Belichick was going to get that job, and it didn't happen. So how about Raheem Morris as the head football coach?
Yeah, by a lot of us, I mean me. I was thinking Bill Belichick was going to be the guy. I was saying, we want Belichick. I want a guaranteed Super Bowl champion coach. Somebody who's been there. I don't have to worry about can he, will he, might he, won't he. I was Belichick, from here till tomorrow. And then when he wasn't the guy, like, let's get Harbaugh. And then we can get any of those. I'm like, Raheem, we trust? Like, it was like a consolation prize. But after looking at it, seeing that he has experience on both sides of the ball, seeing what the Detroit Lions head coach is able to do by creating that culture, creating that energy, getting the team to believe in themselves, Raheem has all of those things, all those traits in him to where the players believe in him, and he has that type of swag to where he can make them believe in themselves. So I think that Raheem is the perfect guy for the job and someone who's bringing the right type of energy for this team that we need right now. And he is like the final, piece of that a gauntlet that we need to become a Super Bowl caliber team.
So I look at the Falcons offense. They signed Kirk Cousins. Everyone loved the move. Then they drafted Michael Penix Jr., and I'm like, I kind of want to see Michael Penix Jr. play, even though they just gave $180 million to Kirk Cousins. This is what I've been saying all offseason. I think Kirk is here this year, and that it would not surprise me at the end of this year. I'm sure the Falcons want him for another year if Kirk says, guys, trade me. Do you feel like this is maybe one and done for Kirk Cousins in Atlanta?
Ooh, you know what? I was saying 2 years. I was saying, hey, they're going to play Kirk for 2 years, and then they're going to be like, hey, Kirk, not trade me. Like, we're trading you. Like, he's not going to have to ask. They're like, hey, we're trading you because this young guy is getting better and better. We love him on the bench, but in year 3, we're not sitting for 3 years. So I'd be very surprised and kind of upset. I think Kirk has 2 solid years in him, if not more, but 2 years to where I actually like him better than Penix. I want Penix to sit for at least 2 years because Kirk Cousins, he's not going to make that rookie mistake or that sophomore slump mistake. Like, he's a guy who there's an open receiver, he's making the play. There's a 2-minute drill, and there's a lot of there's a lot of just on him. He's sweating, he's nervous, we're all nervous. He's calm because he's been here before. Penix hasn't been here before, and I don't want to go through the growing pains with Penix when we have everything else set up for us to win. We have a great running game with Algiers and Bijan. We have some studs to catch the ball with Kyle Pitts and Drake London. We have one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. We have a defense that's I don't want to have everything perfect and have a quarterback that should do well, has the talent, has the potential, but a couple of times of him having rookie mistakes could be the difference between winning the division, losing the division, winning a playoff game, losing the playoff game. I want Kirk to stay for 2 years, minimum.
I'm just happy, by the way, that Arthur Smith is no longer the coach because it was criminal how they used Bijan Robinson to start last year. And I said that to Bijan when I saw him at the Super Bowl. I said, that was some of the dumbest coaching I've ever seen.
Yeah, so supposedly he was hurt. That was the only thing that would make sense, that Bijan wasn't at full speed, because why would you not play him? If you're Arthur Smith and you're fighting for your life, you're trying to keep your job, why would you not play a talent like Bijan Robinson? It just makes no sense to me. So I was confused with him and with Kyle Pitts, but what I'm hearing is that they weren't as healthy as they let on to be because men have egos and we don't like saying that, we're not at full speed.
Falcons, they win a playoff game this year. How far are you willing to go with Atlanta?
Yeah, you already heard me. Playoff game is a minimum when we got Kirk Cousins. Now that we actually have Judon and Simmons, it's Super Bowl for us. Like, I feel like that's as high as we can go. Like, we have a Super Bowl caliber team. Are we going to win it? There is no guarantee with that. But do we have the potential? If everything comes together, if Raheem brings the team in a way that because Detroit Lions were supposed to be a Super Bowl caliber team. They were one game away. They were good, and they have good players. But to say no one in their right mind was saying, "Oh, the Detroit Lions are going to be a game away from the Super Bowl last year." No one said that, and no one's really saying that about us in that way. Most people aren't, except for me. We have the ability to be the Detroit Lions of 2023. We're going to be that type of team that's going to come out of nowhere. Not nowhere, but we're going to come and supersede expectations to be that team that, people are starting to be a little bit afraid of. Like, we're getting a little dangerous. Don't want to play the Falcons because we're winning in every way possible. Special teams, offense, defense, Kirk Cousins, Simmons. We have so much talent, which is something I've been able to say for a long time as a Falcons fan or alumni. We have so much talent, we can now beat teams in multiple ways.
He's Ovie Mughelli, does a great job. Former Falcons fullback, host of Believe in Falcons. Ovie, anytime. Thank you.
No problem. Thanks for having me on.
There you go, Ovie Mughelli. How about that? Super Bowl expectations for the Falcons. I didn't think we'd hear that, but they got a good team brewing in Atlanta. Coming on back to the Pat Start Drake Maye. Next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Rocking and rolling. Hour number 3. It's our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. I am off tomorrow, but I'll be back Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. I actually don't think anyone could guess where I'm going to tomorrow. I was not planning on taking an off day until 2 weeks ago when I found out about something. But let me take you back. And I'll talk about Drake Maye in just a second. And Austin Ekeler is going to join us coming up in 20 minutes from now as we'll chat a little bit about the Washington Commanders and their upcoming season with the new Commanders running back. But let me just open up my DMs here. And I will take you back to 2021. I have a lot of messages here. Let me just scroll through. May 15th, 2021. I got a DM. How the bleep do you have the best sports talk show on the air and I have more followers than you? Total bull bleep. Love you, bro. So that DM didn't come from like Joe Schmo. Didn't come from some random person. Came from David Immerman. And if you don't know who he is the guitarist for Avril Lavigne. And David lives in New Orleans. And when I was on WWL, when I did the 6 to 10 p.m. Eastern time shift, he would listen to us religiously. And he still does listen to us religiously. So I thought at first like I was getting punked. You know, when I got this DM, I'm like, oh, this must be a fake account, but it's his actual verified account. And through the years, we have developed a relationship where we talk a lot of sports and other things as well. And I get a message 2 weeks ago, hey, we're playing at Jones Beach on Long Island. Would love for you to come to the show. So tomorrow, I am going to the Avril Lavigne concert to see my pal David Immerman, who is a huge Zach Gelb Show fan and a CBS Sports Radio Infinity Sports Network fan. He listens to a bunch of shows around the country, but clearly we're his favorite sports talk show because I'm getting the invite and I'm going. So I'll be backstage. I'm sure, he got me tickets, so I'm sure we'll be in a good spot. But that's going to be pretty cool. I can't wait to see him rock the stage and bring the house down. And then I'll be back on Wednesday to tell you all about it and also get you set for the football season. As we do have a college football Saturday coming up this Saturday. Full slate. I know we had the Week 0 game, Florida State. Oh, jeez. What the heck happened? up against Georgia Tech. Jeez, that was tough to see. It really was. I like Florida State. I like Norvell. I'm pulling for DJ Uiagalelei this year, but they just didn't trust their quarterback, and then he goes on that great drive, and then the defense couldn't help him out. As Georgia Tech, I was watching that game on the plane. My flight back from Vegas, Stu, I've never had, right, you always hear about the miserable airline kind of operations these days and how the airlines are just terrible. Like I saw my Uncle Freddie the other day. He's supposed to go to Florida to visit my grandmother, and he was supposed to go out on a Tuesday. Flight got canceled. They said they couldn't rebook him until Friday. And he needed to be back in New York on a Monday or a Tuesday, so he's like, just didn't go to Florida. So a lot of times you hear these horror stories about the airlines. Our flight to Vegas, or the flight that I was on to Vegas, was phenomenal. And I went up to the gate, like the agent at the gate right before you were about to board, and I go, do you have any emergency exit row seats? Because I like the longer seats with more leg room because I'm 6'4" and a large man. And they go, no, but they go, we can move you up one seat. And if we move you up one seat, there's no one in the middle seat. So I took that. And then the lady at the gate said, use your United app. And up until boarding, like a minute before boarding, you could change your seat. So on the way back, Stu, I was supposed to be like in, 24C, let's say. And in the row in front of me, there was no aisle, no middle, and no window. So I took that row in front of me, and there was no standby people. And for the flight back from Vegas, and once you go to Vegas, you need to sleep. You need to sleep a lot, even if you're there just for business. I had one of those neck pillows, and I leaned up against the wall of the plane in the window seat and spread out to the aisle. And I basically got sleep. Now, the what is it? The Boeing 737, right? That's the one that's had some issues where like the side of the plane is just opened up on some of those flights. It was the Boeing 737. I was like, with my force, I hope I don't lean on this plane too far. And then that's the end of Zach Gelb. I just fly right out of that plane. And that's how my life would potentially end. But it was a wonderful flight there. None. Not a single issue. I got there 30 minutes early to Vegas and arrived 30 minutes early back to New York. Stu, I know it's tough to believe, but I'm stunned. Absolutely stunned that I had to go to Springsteen that Wednesday night, had to do the show then on Thursday morning, had to fly out. Everything had to work on time. I can't believe everything went according to plan. Actually arrived early.
I'm not going to lie. When I heard your schedule, Wednesday into Thursday, the late night, the early flight, I was like, oh, that's...
We're going to be screwed.
That could be a little dicey, but it worked out. And, yeah, these days you expect the worst almost. And when it goes well, it's pretty good.
Oh, we have a surprise cut here. Let me just see. You got the breaking news sounder here, Stu? Uh-oh. Ooh, this is not good for our boy Anthony Gallo. Hit it.
We have breaking news on the Zach Gelb Show.
The Denver Broncos are expected to move on from wide receiver Tim Patrick and are looking to at trade possibilities per Mike, Kliss of 9 News. Patrick had a great preseason and is returning from back-to-back years of significant injuries. Ari Muir of My Sports Update says, didn't expect that to happen. Isn't Tim Patrick the guy that we're always told is going to be great, is going to be great, is going to be great, and then unfortunately has just never been able to stay healthy? In the college football world, if Tim Patrick is that to the NFL world, isn't DJ Uiagalelei that to the college football world? Where supposed to be great at Clemson, had that one game up against Notre Dame, and then supposed to be great, right? Transfer to Oregon State was fine, and now supposed to be the guy at Florida State, and they didn't trust him the other night. But Tim Patrick is one of those guys that all you hear about is how good he's supposed to be, how good he's supposed to be. And I look at the Denver Broncos. It's the right decision to start Bo Nix. But do they have the pieces on the offensive side of the ball? The line's fine with McGlinchey at right tackle and Garrett Bowles at your left tackle spot. Javonte Williams is good if he could stay healthy. And Cortland Sutton, solid wide receiver, but they don't got a lot cooking there. They really don't. So I look at Bo Nix. We know this offense is going to be predicated off getting the ball out quickly, moving him around, get the ball out quickly, move him around. And that's what Sean Payton's going to do. But Bo showed that he was clearly ready, and they're not going to go to Jarrett Stidham. They're not going to go to Zach Wilson. By the way, let me play you. This was Jarrett Stidham on actually losing the quarterback battle to Bo Nix, as this was announced going back to last week that Bo Nix was going to be the starting quarterback for the Denver Broncos.
First of all, I mean, obviously I was very disappointed. I know I'm a starting quarterback in this league. I have zero doubts about that. It just didn't shake out my way. But I know what kind of player I am, kind of person I am. And like I said earlier, I'll be ready to go if I need to be. And like I said, I have no doubts that I'm a starting caliber quarterback in this league.
So I appreciate the confidence, but you are not Jacoby Brissett, right? Like the Patriots have a decision right now where you could wait for Drake Maye, because Drake Maye, some people may not think he's ready. Bo Nix obviously has proven he is ready. And you could throw someone to the wolves like a Jacoby Brissett, who's a solid option. Jarrett Stidham is not a guy that is a solid option if you needed him to start September and October. I know he's had some experience with the Raiders. He was on the Patriots last year in Denver, so he knows the system. But for the Denver Broncos, they made a move with the 12th overall pick that was surprising in drafting Bo Nix. And that's Sean Payton saying, that's my guy. Tio, that's my quarterback, right? That's your quarterback. And Sean, not that he's on the hot seat, but he's in a spot where last year was slow start, then they got cooking, then down the stretch, they didn't get the job done. You run Russell Wilson out of town, and Russ just didn't work with the Broncos. And now it's like, okay, you got to give the fan, even if you're bad, you got to give the fan base something. And to give the fan base something that's based off the quarterback. So you look at Denver, Stu, it's a little similar to New England. And I wonder what the approaches are going to be. We know what Denver's doing. They are starting Bo Nix. Here is Gerard Mayo. Last night, this is how much of a loser football fan I am now. Right? I used to never care about the preseason. NBC Peacock, you got Collinsworth, you got Tirico. I was like, okay, let's go. I got to watch Drake Maye. Jacoby Brissett leaves the game with the shoulder injuries. Not supposed to be a long-term injury. He's supposedly fine. And Drake Maye comes in, 11 plays, extended, 1/3 down conversion using his legs, and his mobility was impressive. Made some big throws too. 11 plays, 88 yards, boom, ball in the end zone. Here is Gerard Mayo on the Greg Hill Show on Sports Radio WEEI talking about Jacoby Brissett up against Drake Maye.
This is a true competition. It wasn't fluff or anything like that. It's a true competition. And I would say at this current point, Drake has outplayed Jacoby. Now I'm saying that we have to take in the full body of work, going all the way back to the spring and the beginning of training camp, and we'll see where we end up. But those are the conversations that will happen here over the next couple of days.
I remember the last time the Patriots had a QB battle with the rookie quarterback and a veteran. It was Mac Jones and Cam Newton. And when Cam missed time because of COVID, that's when Mac really won over the team. Jacoby gets hurt. Drake comes in after playing a fine preseason game the week before, and you just see a guy that had command of an offense for a team that there's not really much to command. Like his own offensive lineman knocked his shoe off. The offensive line sucks. You got receivers dropping balls. It's like you look at this team, there's not a lot to work with. Now, Polk out of Washington, I think could be solid. Baker, there was a lot of hype early. We'll see what he could turn into. People have calmed down a little bit with him. Ramondre Stevens is a solid running back. But this offensive line, there's bad offensive lines and there's Patriots offensive line. It is a really bad offensive line. So the question becomes, like at least in Denver, they have 2 bookend tackles. In New England, what do you have? And Drake's eventually going to play because he's showed so far he's better than Jacoby. And he's your 3rd overall pick. But you don't got to play him right away because it's like, do you want to root? Like they play Cincinnati, Seattle, the Jets, San Francisco, Miami, Houston. Those are their first 6 games. And then you got Jacksonville and New York, the Jets again. That's the first 8 weeks of the season. He'll play at some point before that, before you get to that Tennessee game on November 3rd. That's when I was originally circling it. But with what he's proven so far, he's showing he deserves to play. But I think you still also got to be careful with him. Like, is he ready to play? Absolutely. Do you want to throw him out there behind this offensive line and have him get hurt? I would say no. So I would say, you know when you may see him? If I had to predict right now, October 6th, they play Cincinnati, Seattle, the Jets on a short week, San Francisco. 3 out of those first 4 games are on the road. I think they start him at home, 1 o'clock game, in front of the Foxborough faithful, up against the Miami Dolphins. That's when I think you're going to see Drake Maye start at quarterback for the New England Patriots. Here is Adam Schefter on the ESPN about the Patriots quarterback situation.
They know that Drake Maye is going to be their quarterback long term. They're not looking to rush him in. Clearly, he's playing well enough to start right now, but it certainly sounds like Jacoby Brissett still may have the edge there. The fact that Drake Maye's outplayed him, that they're talking about this, admitting this, I guess that just makes you wonder, how soon is it until we see Drake Maye start? There are people who felt like he could sit out his whole first year and not take any snaps, but clearly he's on the trajectory where he's going to play this year. And the only question now is how soon that's going to be.
Stu, I find it funny because when they first drafted him, I threw out there, if they don't trade for Brandon Ayuk, sit him. Sit him until like the final 4 games of the season. Then I changed that, hey, sit him the first 8 weeks of the season. Then you see what this guy can potentially do. And remember, I was a Jaden Daniels guy. I wanted Jaden Daniels. And I had a lot of questions about Drake Maye. But even early on in the preseason, he is what the quarterback position is now in the year of 2024. The right amount of mobility and a strong arm. There's going to be some bad moments. There's going to be some good moments. But for someone that was like, right when they drafted him, don't play him a lot this year. Don't play him. And then halfway through this offseason, maybe the first 8 weeks, I can't tell you. Like, if I was the coach, I can't say I wouldn't be saying, okay, start him week 1. But I don't think that's the best thing for the future of the franchise, because Drake Maye is ready, but this offensive line is not. But then you say, okay, you just got to send him the first 4 weeks of the season? I think they will. I'm going to say, Stu, that week 5, because they could be 0-4, 1-3. Like, if they start out the year 2-2, which I don't think they will, up against Cincinnati, Seattle, New York, San Francisco, they're not going to go to Drake Maye right away. They're not. I think they're going to try to weather this storm. But the storm early on, right, is causing a lot of turbulence. That's what it is. And after that week 4 game where they're probably going to get blown out in Santa Clara up against the 49ers, that's when they probably say, okay, Miami, very good offense. Defensively, they're fine. They're not a great defense. You're at home. That's when we'll throw the kid on out there on that October 6th game. That's what I'm feeling right now, Stu.
It makes sense. And there's a few home games in a row there with the one trip to Europe in the middle of it. But at least the schedule's tough enough to where there's no really pocket where you say, okay, here's like 3 or 4 easy teams in a row, because most of it's pretty tough. I know the Titans and Bears are in that kind of mix coming up. So I think that's kind of when you would see them once you.
And if you play them against Miami, then it's Houston, good team, but it's at home. Jacksonville, like you said, across the pond. Then you play the Jets, but that's at home. And then you're at Tennessee, at Chicago. It's like,
that's probably the best spot.
That's the best spot. And you're not going to be able to wait till December 1st where you got Indianapolis and then a bye week and then Arizona. That's just not going to happen. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Austin Ekeler joins us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. 3 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're listening to the Infinity Sports Network.
Alrighty, 22 past the hour. It is the Zach Gelb Show right here on the Infinity Sports Network. We will connect with Austin Ekeler momentarily, the former Chargers running back, now with the Washington Commanders, and he actually has a new app that's coming on out, and that's the Experience app, which is fan engagement done right. So we will talk to Austin Ekeler right now, who joins us on the show, just connecting. Austin, always great to have you on. How you been, my man?
I have been amazing. I've been great, been progressing. Thanks for having me back on.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on. Always enjoy our conversations. We'll talk about the app in just a bit. So you spent a while proving yourself with the Chargers from 2017 to 2023. Now it's a new home with the Commanders, a new era of football there. Just how has that change been going from one place to now a new home for the next chapter of your NFL career?
Yeah, it's been great. I think something that I've gotten accustomed to is when you have a new head coach, really everything changes. And that's no different than what we're going through here. But there was another major change involved in this transition this time. Obviously, now I'm moving team colors and across the nation. So that was something that was a little out of my comfort of what I've gone through. I've gone through now 4 head coaches, but now I've kind of gotten settled in. Love what Dan Quinn's been building over here as far as the culture. I've been saying if I were to ever be a head coach, I would want to be like Dan Quinn. Like he's about the right stuff. And so I love that we're part of something that we're building together, have a lot of new guys in the locker room. So it's been fun so far.
And I know you have a familiar face there. Your former head coach, Anthony Lynn, is the run game coordinator and in charge of your running back room. But when we look at this offense, Cliff Kingsbury is the offensive coordinator. What should we expect this offense to kind of look like this year with the Commanders?
Yeah, well, we know we have Jaden Daniels as starting, and we know what he was able to do in college, and we know he's dynamic. We know he can run. We know he's athletic. So, I mean, you're going to see some of that start to shine, and we saw that even in the preseason games. And then also, preseason, you kind of dampen everything down to kind of a base level. But what I've really appreciated at a practice is Cliff Kingsbury. I had a conversation with him. It's like, hey, something I think we kind of got away from was in LA was putting our guys in the best place to be themselves, be the best version of themselves. We're kind of square peg into a round hole type scenario. It's like, this is how I want to be used. Here is what I want to have. And so that's where I can be the best. And so we had that conversation. Obviously, I can't give away everything, but just know I feel like I'm going to be utilized in a space where I feel like I'm the most effective. So get back to, 2021, 2022, Austin Ekeler.
I'll be curious to see what that looks like because I'm a big fan of Brian Robinson Jr. And now we know it's not always just one running back in this league. The teams that win, it's a lot of running back by committee. I think this is going to be a fun running back room to see how it plays on out.
It is no doubt going to be exciting. Like Brian is an absolute unit himself. Like he is a big man. He is a beast. He's all of that. And it definitely shows on game day, even just seeing him run, in the preseason games. I'm like, yeah, he's going to be a problem out there. And I bring my own problems with me when you're trying to, game plan for me. So having us both in the same place at the same time is it's going to be fun to watch.
I don't know. Maybe it's a trait that you just have, Austin Ekeler. But when you played with Keenan Allen, I felt like everyone would say he's the most underrated wide receiver in football. Now you play with Terry McLaurin, and a lot of people say he's a very underrated wide receiver in the NFL. I think he's a stud. I've been praising him for years. And, he doesn't make it all about him. He's all about the team. But what have been the early impressions so far of one of your new teammates in Terry McLaurin?
Yeah, you said it. Terry is really level-headed, like really cares about, like you mentioned, the team, but also just making sure that, hey, guys are bought in, right? He's a great leader, very well-spoken, will speak his mind as well. And so it's been really cool getting to meet Terry and seeing the impact that he's had on this community in just the short time that I've been here. The support for him in this community is definitely it doesn't go unnoticed. Like it's all over the place. Terry jerseys, people, like I'm just walking up the tunnel, everyone, Terry. So, maybe to the outside media world, he might be underrated, but definitely in this ecosystem over here, he is highly, highly appreciated.
Austin Ekeler here with us. Let me get to your quarterback in Jaden Daniels. We know what he's capable of when you win a Heisman Trophy and have the season that he just did have at LSU. You hear things, though. It's different than being able to see him day in and day out. Has he exceeded your expectations so far, just wondering, in a limited time together?
It's tough to have expectations for rookie quarterbacks come in because I think you see just a mass variance across so many different rookies that come in and have these expectations, and some kind of, are sitting behind somebody, or they bring in someone else that maybe will start just in case. And so with Jaden, he was a Heisman winner, so there was some expectation that he was going to be good there. We got 2 Heisman winners in our quarterback room now, so a lot of expectations there. We got Marcus Mariota, obviously, as well. But Marcus has been doing a really good job, I think, showing the ropes for what it means to be a veteran quarterback. And what I mean by that is Marcus brought us all out to Oregon to do a throwing little series out during the offseason. Jaden was there, taking us to dinners, things like that, getting the guys together, playing cards at lunch and stuff. And so really setting a great example for Jaden. That's kind of like the brotherhood type stuff that I was talking about that Dan Quinn brings to the table. But then on the field, like, again, Marcus is showing him the ropes after practice. Every single practice, we're linking up with the quarterbacks as the running backs, same with the receivers, getting the timing down, talking through routes, and Jaden's right there with them and making sure that, hey, we're on the same page right there. So he is right now on the trajectory right now to be a stud, in my opinion, and I think it's gonna play out like that. And it's my job to help him come into the light like that.
Yeah, because you've been around long enough. You could sense if a player has that it factor or not. We saw with the Texans last year. They were a dreadful organization. They get C.J. Stroud. They get a new head coach. They get Will Anderson. Stroud changed that entire direction of that organization overnight. You sense that it factor from Jaden being around him early.
Well, it's not just Jaden, though, because it takes more. It definitely takes an organization, takes a village, and we brought in parts that can help us get to that. So yes, I do sense that because of the person that Jaden is, but also because of, hey, bringing in guys like me, like at Zach Ertz, like our veteran center as well, Tyler over from Dallas. So we're bringing in key players that play a vital role in making sure the operation of the offense goes well. Having a good runner. We have a couple of us now. Having that go-to receiver. Obviously, you have Terry. So we have pieces around us, and now it's up for that last part, which is the camaraderie. How in tune with the game plan with Cliff Kingsbury. How in tune is the quarterback with Jaden with all of what we're trying to get done. How are our details showing up? So it's a village, but that's exactly why you bring people like me, because that's what I'm going to be preaching. That's all I'm preaching. I'm preaching details. I'm preaching how do we work? This is the standard. And it's great when you have a head coach who's also behind that.
I know you got to take it day by day. I totally respect that, Austin Ekeler. But we talk about how quickly things could change in this league. Do you feel like people are sleeping on the Commanders? You've been around playoff teams before. You sense that this could be a playoff team this year?
Look, you got to earn every blade of grass in this league. Sensing anything is getting way ahead of yourself. I remember, even last year with the Chargers, we had these expectations because we had gone to the playoffs and everyone came back. We barely lost anybody. If not, we had a better roster. And look, we go out there and it's 5 games and everyone's like, what the heck just happened? So, I have learned the hard way that this league can get ugly. And so what I can focus on is what I can control, and that's what I'm going to focus on is, hey, the details, the team right here, and we're fighting for every blade of grass. What are the expectations of this team? I don't really care as far as down the road. I care for now, and the expectation is that we're going to be on our details and give us the best opportunity to go win games here come, the 8th or 6th or whatever it is.
Yeah, I'm fascinated this offseason for you. You talked about personally what it's like changing teams and going from one coast to another across the country. But you know how it is. In the nature of your position, you don't have the greatest season in the world, right? There was more. It wasn't just your fault individually, right? That was a team problem with the Chargers. You start to get closer and closer to 30. People start to doubt you. Like, did you have a little extra motivation brewing this offseason with maybe some of the things that have been said about you?
Man, I was actually thinking about this the other day. And, I went to Western Colorado University, first person ever to go to the NFL for my entire university. And I was going to school for business. And I was really trying my best to pay for my education with football. And I did that well enough to give me an opportunity to play in the NFL. And I have immersed myself in that opportunity ever since. And have continued to grow and prosper in this opportunity, not only on the football field, but as a man in general. And in my life's fulfillment, which is even more important. And so for me, this journey has been so fulfilling, as I mentioned, that like wherever my journey goes I'm so proud of what I've been able to do and how far I've come. I'm no chance done. Like I'm going to continue to go put my best effort out there, but you can say whatever you want about me. Oh, he's washed, he's this, he's that. To me, like, I'm so far ahead of where I was expecting myself to be in life that you can't take me off of this pedestal. And I'm going to continue to try to, spread those vibes around my community and the people that are supporting me.
Love that answer. Before we let you run, Austin Ekeler, tell me about the app that you got coming out, Experience.
Yeah, so we just talked about my journey. Part of this journey has been the fan base. And I think there's been kind of a broken atmosphere when it comes to fan engagement. It's really, really hard for athletes like myself to actually do fan engagement on an efficient level. And so what I've done is made that easy for everyone. Just like if you want to get your Austin Ekeler jersey signed, how would you do that? Well, you can go now on Experience and actually have it sent in through Experience, and it'll get to me. I'll sign it and send it off. There's a few other teams on there right now. You can do that with any of the LA teams or my team out here in Washington. Different engagements. We just actually signed a college up as well, so it's a fan engagement tool. So our big signing, or our big feature right now is getting things signed. We call it fan mail. So make sure you check out mine and some of my teammates' fan mail on the Experience app.
Well, if I sent you some fan mail and I said, what can I expect at Austin Ekeler in fantasy? Because I know you love fantasy football this year. What am I expecting, Austin? What do we got cooking? My
So you can do that too. If you want to talk fantasy, you can get a fantasy engagement on there. Go check it out. You'll get the firsthand experience.
And is the app out now?
The app is out, so you can download this right now in Apple and Android. And I should put this out there. It's actually a play off my last name. It's spelled EKS. PERIENCE, so Experience. Then you can go in there. We almost have every player from every team. We have about 95 guys on there right now. If you want to interact with a lot of our guys, so Jonathan Taylor, Raheem Mostert, myself. We got some other big name players on there. But come join our journey. Come get to know us. I've met some great fans over the year. I've actually hired some as well. So you never know what that interaction is going to take you. But you do know that it's going to be something that you'll remember. So we bring you the real fan engagement on Experience.
Good deal. Always enjoy our conversations. Good luck with the app and good luck with the new home this year for the NFL. Thank you, Austin.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
You got it. There he is, Austin Ekeler. Always love when he joins us on the show. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. And I can't wait to watch Jaden Daniels this upcoming season in the NFL. And he's one of those guys, right? Starting from week one. Obviously, you got Caleb Williams with the Bears. You got Jaden Daniels starting week one with the Commanders. Bo Nix starting with the Broncos. Unfortunately, J.J. McCarthy out for the season with that meniscus injury. Michael Penix Jr. not expected to start because of Kirk Cousins. And then we wait to see what the Patriots are going to do. And the New England Patriots, will it be Jacoby Brissett? Will it be Drake Maye? I think Drake Maye is ready, but I think because the offensive line isn't ready, it's going to be Jacoby Brissett. In the week one game for the Commanders, by the way, where you'll see Jaden Daniels debut on the 8th, is going to be going up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The 4 o'clock window for week one, Raiders at the Chargers. Ooh, Stu. 4:05 Sunday on CBS, ready to get disappointed. Broncos at the Seahawks. Cowboys at the Browns. And that's the debut of Tom Brady on Fox. And then the Commanders at Tampa Bay. The Sunday night game, Rams and Lions. That's a good one. And then Monday night, you got Jets in San Francisco. I'll give you the whole week one slate. Baltimore, Kansas City kicks things off. Awesome. Friday night in Brazil. Green Bay at Philadelphia. Your 1 o'clock window, Arthur Smith revenge game. Steelers at the Falcons. We'll see who's starting at quarterback for the Steelers. You got Arizona at Buffalo. Tennessee at Chicago. Little Will Levis, Caleb Williams. Patriots at the Bengals. Texans at the Colts. Jaguars at the Dolphins. Ooh, Trevor Lawrence and Tua open up the year. I like that. Panthers at the Saints. Minnesota at the Giants. You know what? Can I give you a crazy week one bet right out of the gate here, Stu? Saints hosting the Panthers. That line is at 4 in favor of the Saints. I feel like a lot of people are going to be on the Saints. Right now, the early indication, the early Zach Gelb Show bet is going to be the Carolina Panthers +4. Can't believe I'm believing in a David Tepper team. Just stay within the 4 points. That's all I'm going to say. All righty, Zach Gelb Show, Infinity Sports Network. Come on back. We will talk about Florida State. Also, I have placed three future bets when I was in Vegas. I'll get to those on the other side. Update time first, though. Here he is, the Ackman, Rich Ackerman.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flag.
Well, with 2 weeks to go before the season starts, CeeDee Lamb gets paid a 4-year extension with the Cowboys with $100 million in guaranteed money, including a $35 million signing bonus. All signs seem to be pointing toward Drake Maye being the Patriots starter, though no decision has been made yet. Jacoby Brissett suffered a minor shoulder injury, and head coach Gerard Mayo said on WEEI radio that Maye has been the better of the two this summer. Juju Smith-Schuster is back in Kansas City, agreeing to a deal to return to the Chiefs. Baseball this afternoon, And the Royals knock off the Guardians 4-3 as they pull within 2 games of the AL Central lead with the victory. Bobby Witt Jr. with his 27th home run of the season in the victory. Also today, it was Toronto over Boston by a score of 4-1. The Twins, 3 back in the Central, starting the day, will host the Braves, while Atlanta holds the final wild card in the National League, 2.5 up on the idle Mets. At the U.S. Open on day 1, Americans Ben Shelton and defending champ Coco Gauff were both straight sets winners. I'm Rich Ackerman.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Follow us on X. Our handle is INF Sports Network. That's INF Sports Network on X.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. 1 minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick from the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God.
All right, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. It's time to answer Ask the Pros question of the day. It's brought to you by O'Reilly Auto Parts. Dylan in Florida says, Zach, can Florida State still make the college football playoff? You can submit a question by tweeting at INF Sports or at Zach Gelb using the hashtag AskThePros. Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all your car care needs. Get guaranteed low prices and excellent customer service from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah, Florida State could still make the college football playoff. Now, their offensive line did not play well. They didn't trust DJ Uiagalelei enough. It almost like that game ended for Florida State. And I know that they ended up having that big drive by DJ later in the game where, okay, maybe they're going to find a way to get the job done and save themselves and, to tie back up the game. But when that first drive of the game happens, and, right, you have all this pent-up frustration, even though a lot of players have changed from that team. But you march down the field, 7 plays, 75 yards, and then you go for 2 after scoring a touchdown and go up 8-0. It felt like, okay, Florida State's going to show they're really the better team up against Georgia Tech. And then Georgia Tech marches right down the field after that in 3 minutes and 32 seconds and puts the ball in the end zone. And then at halftime, I know the game was tied, but it was like, it was like one of those moments where it felt like Georgia Tech was just better. And Georgia Tech goes up by 7, and then Florida State answers back, ties up the game. And then that last drive, even when it looked like for a second, if Georgia Tech was going to shoot themselves in the foot, they answer back with that field goal and they win the game 24-21. But one game's not going to ruin your season. You need to win, though, the ACC to get in, though. Because I thought heading into that game, Florida State would be a playoff team, but I didn't have them winning the ACC. I thought they'd be the best team in the ACC, lose the ACC championship game to Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech gets in, and then boom, Florida State would get in because they were the better team in the regular season. But I'll give you my official college football playoff predictions on Wednesday. I did have a change because when I was going through it, I had 3 spots left still. And for those 3 spots, I was considering a team from the SEC, the Big Ten, and then it was Florida State. And I had one of those teams from the Big Ten, or no, it was from the SEC that was out. I put the Big Ten team in. So I kept the Big Ten team in, but after this weekend, I did swap out Florida State and I put that SEC team in. So I'm not going to tell you who those teams are. And it's the unfortunate part about week 0 because things do happen in week 0. But I'll give you the official Zach Gelb Show 12-team college football playoff predictions coming up on Wednesday's edition of the show. But you look at Florida State's schedule the rest of the way. Boston College, Memphis, California, SMU. They play Clemson. That's a mega game on October 5th. Like, you can't lose another game before Clemson, nor should you. No disrespect to Boston College, Memphis, California, or SMU. And Memphis is a solid program. And we'll see what BC is under Billy O'Brien. And SMU, that's a tough, even SMU's solid. They put up a ton of points. That's a tough schedule, man. But you gotta be one loss going into that game, beat Clemson, then you play Duke. All right, Manny Diaz and Malik Murphy, you should beat them. You play Miami. A lot of people optimistic on Miami. You got UNC, Notre Dame, Charleston Southern, and then Florida. Stu, for a team that, you look at Georgia Tech, I know their coach who replaced Jeff Collins, who was there when Jeff Collins was the head coach. For a program that had a signature win for them, beating Florida State in Dublin to open up the season, I hate to say that Florida State's season's already over because, right, you could still make the college football playoff with this landing spot. It's not 4 teams. It's a 12-team playoff. You got to win the ACC. But right now, if you put a gun to my head, do they make the playoff? I'm going to say no. That team lost a lot of talent. Fisk, Verse. You lost Jordan Travis. It doesn't seem as if they say they trust DJ, but with how they approached it early on, it seemed like they were afraid. And then you also factor in that schedule. It kind of stinks. But it feels like, can they still make it? Yes. But right now, if you ask me, does Florida State make the college football playoffs too? I would say no, especially after what we had to see this past Saturday.
Yeah, I think I'm with you. I don't know. I just think the
tough
ACC is
schedule.
not the best conference, but there's someone that'll, I feel like, have a better season. Now, yeah, it's
Miami,
tough.
Clemson,
yeah,
Virginia Tech. Like, you got some good schools there. Like, I don't think anyone's great in the ACC. But you got some good schools. But you know what I was kind of surprised by? And I know we live in a very negative society now. Some of the stuff that people tweet me is just absolutely repulsive and disgusting. And if you think you're getting a response out of me, this is the biggest response you're getting. All right? Like, younger Zach Gelb would be back and forth with you clowns on Twitter and responding to the people that are like wishing me to die and, accusing me of being things that I'm not and things like that. If you're not someone that I think it's worth it for me to respond, I'm not going to respond. Like when Torrey Smith, former NFL player, wanted to slam me for my Debo interview, it was worth it for me to respond. But when Eggface364632663, who follows me and then tweets me every day just to get a reaction out of me, I will not give you that reaction. But I will say, judging the landscape of social media, I thought Florida State should have been viewed as a sympathetic figure after what happened last year, right? Undefeated, lose your quarterback, and then you don't make the college football playoff. But now with them suing the conference, I sense a lot of animosity around Florida State. There were a lot of people that were jumping up and down and that were happy that Florida State lost. Like, you think my mentions are bad. I love Danny Cannell. And right, people think of Danny Cannell when they think of Florida State football now in the media landscape. Danny Cannell, people were going, he tweeted out, I'm keeping receipts. Keep that same energy. So people were really going after Florida State and really going after Danny Cannell, and Herb Street, who got it from those Florida State fans. He had I'm going to pump up your program, say there's still a chance, but that was clearly just a dance on the grave type of moment from Herbie, as I guess what his friends call him there still. I was surprised by the hatred that people have for Florida State. I didn't really sense that last year, still.
Yeah, I thought people were most people were rooting for them to make the playoffs because of the season they had and obviously the quarterback injury towards the end of the season. But it's kind of taken like a 180 almost. It's kind of weird.
I'll tell you my 3 futures. You tell me if you like these.
Okay.
AFC South. I'm taking the Jaguars to win the division at plus 270.
Pretty good odds. I don't think they're going to win the division. I would probably put them third, but the odds are good enough.
You like the Colts to win the division,
I do.
Right? Okay, so we're in the same line of thinking. We think the Texans are going to be good. I think the Texans are going to make the playoffs, but they just take a small step back from winning the division.
Small step back with a little more competition, yeah.
My ACC winner, I told you it's Virginia Tech. I placed that after Florida State lost. I probably should have placed it beforehand because I said it beforehand anyway. I got them at plus 950. So I threw $50 down on them to win the conference, 525. I was thinking to throw it a hundy down, honestly, but I just threw 50. And
Not
then
bad.
NFC championship winner. Who do you think I put? It was only $25 that I put down to win 375. Who do you think I threw down? You want me to give you the odds to make it a little easier?
Sure.
Plus 1,400.
Wow. Okay.
So not the favorite.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's not the Falcons, is it?
No. I'm not Ovie Mughelli.
Bears?
It's not the Bears. I do think the Bears will be a playoff team.
Lions.
It's not the Lions.
Rams. Yeah, that's right. You've been pretty high on the Rams.
I've been up and down on the Rams. The Rams, I was optimistic, and then Donald retires, and I'm like, don't love that. You get some injury news. But I was at dinner with a few betting people on Friday in Vegas, and they were asking me what I think my picks, are for the season. I said, I kind of like the Rams. I would take you have to throw money down to a team to win the NFC, and one of the guy at the table was like, I like that pick a lot. Now, the guy that said that had 2 glasses of wine, 2 espresso martinis, and an old-fashioned all-in-one meal, so I may have said anything, and he would have liked that. But I got the Rams at plus 1,400. So those are 3 futures that I made when I was out in good old Vegas. All righty, this is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Big thanks to Kelvin Beachum for stopping by. Big thanks to Clay Harbor for joining us in studio. Ovie Mughelli stopping by as well, and Austin Ekeler. Stu, thank you. Samter, thank you as well. And each and every one of you, thank you for tuning in and interacting with our program. I'm off tomorrow, but I'm back Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I got invited to the Avril Lavigne concert with David Immerman, who is the guitarist who listens to our show. So I'll be at Jones Beach tomorrow, but I'm back on Wednesday. We'll talk to you then, everybody, at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific time. Football is back, baby! You gotta love it. We out. Bye-bye. Peace.